All being here on time. We got a lot to cover today. Many of you some of you came across the boulevard, some of you came across the country. We appreciate all the effort to get together and talk today. Please bear with me, I have been sick. I'm going to be optimistic on how long my voice is going to last. So, motivation to keep it moving. All right, our agenda for today's meeting, we're going to talk about, real quick, introduction of what Coach Club Sports is, meet the staff, we'll talk about the 2017 in review, what's to come for 18, and we'll have our sponsors and fundraiser people come and present to you. We'll take a short break, then we get into our voting ballot procedures. Those that have been here before know that that's the exciting part of the meeting. That's where all the debates come into play, and the shouting and the kicking and screaming. And then we'll wrap things up. Doesn't sound like much, but let's see, what was it last year? About 5 hours? 6. And I think that was a record quick 6 hours. So, Coquitlam Sports. Coquitlam Sports is the name we use for our parent organization, which is technically the National Federation of Collegiate Club Sports Leagues. It's comprised of the NCBA, UHA, and what our goal is here for you guys. To introduce you to the staff, I'm Sandy Sanderson, the president. I'm pretty sure most people in the room know that. Sandy Sr. not here today. That's my father. He's our treasurer. Jeannie Caracciolo is our accounting specialist. She is, you probably get some emails from her every once in a while. She's the one that sends out invoices for annual dues, things like that. If you're late on your dues, she's usually the first one to come barking at your door. Rachel Weber in the back on the computer. She's our director of football development and our sports information director. Dave Mogensen not here. He's our director of awards and recognition. Joe Schaefer, where's Joe's in the back corner there. He's our Wilson sponsor account manager. Paul Williams, he's up front greeting people at the front door. He's our Rawlings sponsor account manager. Felicia Battaglia, not here today. She's the game headwear sponsor account manager. Alex Kane, back on the camera. He's our travel sponsor account manager. And Tracy Reardon, who signed you in, is our fundraising sponsor account manager. From the conference coordinator side of things, Joe oversees the North Atlantic. Scott Hoffman here, former George Mason player and president, and is the volunteer Mid-Atlantic Conference coordinator. Rachel oversees the South Atlantic, and the Great Lakes for the last probably 4 or 5 years has been Eric Kenter, who's recently, we'll call it, retired from the position. We appreciate the years of service he gave to us as a volunteer. He's a former Miami player and president, and so we are currently in the process of looking to find someone to replace him. All right, so the year in review. We're going to get into the membership, our rules. We're going to cover these topics as we review 17. 2017, we had 26 teams. There they are. A little graph as to our participation this past year. Of the 26 teams in the league, 24 were active. By that I mean 2 of the 26 teams didn't play a game. They basically forfeited their whole season for one reason or another. There's our historical graph. We're always optimistic that the next year every single team is going to play their season out. As you can see, it's been since 2011 that every team has been able to do that. But our goal for this year is to be at 28 teams with full participation from all 28 member teams. The rules for this past year, basically at last year's meeting, just like this, we had the big second half of the meeting where we're debating different rule changes and so forth, and then those went onto a ballot, and all the member teams got to vote, and majority passed rule changes. And that's how the 2016 rule book got morphed into the 2017 rule book. The same thing will happen here later today as we decide how we're going to change the rule book for 2018. The major rule changes that went into place this year, this past season, were conference divisions of 4 or fewer teams now played each other home and away in order to basically get more conference games on the schedule, as well as give teams the opportunity to one loss does not necessarily end your season or chance to get to the postseason. So that was a rule change that was put into place. And then the other major rule change was a roster limit. Previously at 60, It was voted to drop it to 50. There was a big effort to try to lower it to 45, but via vote, 50 became the winning maximum put into place. Interesting enough, in 2017, this past year, the average roster size was just over 31, which was actually down from the year before, which was about 32. Very close, but just down a little bit. And the only team and the maximum roster used was Eastern Connecticut had a 46-man roster. So no one even actually approached, really, got to that 50-man roster this past season. General liability insurance was in place for all the teams. You were automatically, by being in the league, you were covered by this. It is liability insurance. It covers you, your school, your officers from third-party lawsuits. One of the big things that's beneficial to this is for those of you that have to go off campus to secure a field or a practice facility, you can add what they're called additional insurance to the policy. It's a $75 fee, but basically you can say, hey, we want to add Joe Smith High School to the policy so that we can now, they'll let us rent their stadium for our weekend games. So that's one of the assets, advantages of the liability insurance policy that several teams in here have taken advantage of over the years. I'll let Scott come up here and talk a little bit about the fall kickoff. Took place this past year.
How's everyone doing? As Sandy already said, I'm Scott, Mid-Atlantic Conference Coordinator. Real quick, we played our, fourth edition of the fall kickoff. It's an event that I took over running a couple years ago. Originally started to have teams from around the country come together in a somewhat neutral location, make travel easier so you can play a unique opponent. Have a good time. It's kind of like a smaller scale, like you see like Alabama play Michigan to Texas kind of deal. We had it this past year, co-hosted with Pitt's club football team at their brand new Club Sportstone, which if you guys haven't been there, excellent facility, very cool setup they have there. We had 2 games last year. We had, once again, another pretty tightly contested matchup between Ohio State and George Mason. Came down to literally the last minute. And we had the host team, Pitt, play an extremely solid game against Eastern Michigan. And I will be back later on to talk about next year's event.
Thank you, Scott. All right, this past year's regular season was comprised of 4 conferences, 2 of which were now split into directional divisions. The North Atlantic consisted of the 5 teams up there, basically in New England. The Mid-Atlantic West, which was a new conference this past year from the standpoint of the Mid-Atlantic had previously just been one conference. So the West, it was now into a West and East, being comprised of the Ohio and Pittsburgh teams. In the Mid-Atlantic East, Columbus State, George Mason, Longwood basically covered Maryland through Virginia down to North Carolina. The South Atlantic, Georgia and Florida teams. Great Lakes West was just the Illinois, Wisconsin group. And then the East was comprised solely of Michigan schools. So we were able to tighten some things up in terms of travel time in the way the conferences were bunched together. In the regular season, the conference schedule was released in February based upon a schedule request form that each team filled out. And we'll go into that later about how to fill out yours for this coming season. And the regular season began on September 11th. Each team played each conference opponent at least once. If you were in a divisional conference of 4 or fewer teams, then you played each opponent twice. And then teams were welcome to supplement their schedule with what we call non-conference games. Non-conference games don't affect your ability to make the postseason. They can affect your power rankings, but you're welcome to add games to your schedule if you want outside your conference. It's encouraged, but by no means is it mandatory. So during the regular season, every Sunday night, teams were expected to complete what we call a weekly team submission form. It's a simple Excel document, or maybe it's a Word document, and email it to their conference coordinator. It basically says, hey, this past weekend, here's who we played, here's the score. We nominate this guy on our defense for Defensive Player of the Week. We nominate, and here's why. We nominate this guy for Offensive Player of the Week from our team. We're looking for that every Sunday. Every Monday, the conference coordinators take those forms and update all the scores online, and they pick the conference player, offensive and defensive players of the week, and get those posted. Every Tuesday, the NCFA looks at all the conference award winners and picks the national offensive and defensive players of the week. And then also on Tuesdays, that's when voters would submit their new top 10 ballots. Then every Wednesday, the new power rankings would get released. And here are our power player of the week winners from this past season. 10 weeks, 10 winners on the offensive and defensive side of the ball. One of the things I'm very pleased about is we had much better participation in this. In the past, it's actually been kind of hard to get teams to nominate people from their own team. I don't know if they're afraid of having recognition towards their players or what, but at least this year we had much better participation in terms of people nominating players from their team for recognition. The conference championships. All conferences play an end-of-the-year conference championship game. The North Atlantic and the South Atlantic, those were the two conferences that were not split directionally. They played their number 2 place finisher, traveled to the number 1 team in the conference for the conference title game. In the Great Lakes and Mid-Atlantic, where they've been split East and West, the winner of the East and the winner of the West matched up for the conference title game. And then that's how our conference champions were determined: Sacred Heart, Coppin State, Fort Lauderdale, and Oakland. And then all conference champions received a conference championship trophy. The power rankings, fundraiser power rankings. So during the season, we get all those scores and everything submitted to us every Sunday. We get them posted to the website on Mondays. On Tuesdays, the voters submit that top 10 voting poll. And then for the first 4 weeks of the season, we just released the coaches, the voters' top 10. But after week 4, once basically everybody's now kind of in season, everybody's now playing, we start releasing what we call the power rankings. The power rankings are weighted 25% based on that coach's poll ranking, 25% on the team's conference win percentage. And now, we didn't have any independent teams this past year, but in the past, if we did have independent teams, they automatically inherited a non-conference, a conference win percentage equal to their non-conference, or their overall win percentage. So 25% on the coaches poll, 25% on conference win percentage, 25% on overall win percentage, and then there's a 25% weight on total games played. So there is an advantage to playing more games, especially if you win those games. So if a team goes 9-0 on the season, another team goes 6-0 on the season, there's going to be a little bit of a shift in advantage in the power rankings towards that 9-0 team simply because they played more games. And after, this is going into the national title game, after week 10 of the season, this is how the power rankings laid out. As you can see, they're based on the coaches poll, how they're ranked. They're ranked based on conference win percentage, overall win percentage, and then it takes an average of those 4 rankings, and that's what determines their power ranking. So as you can see there, Sacred Heart and Oakland were both averaging a 2.25. The tiebreaker in that category goes back to the coaches poll, where Sacred Heart was 2 and Oakland was 3. So in the power rankings, Sacred Heart got the 2 spot. Any questions on this? We get questions during the season. People are like, I think sometimes people think we literally arbitrarily just pick names out of a hat and rank them 1 to 10. There is a formula that we use. We've used we've used this for probably 5 or 6 years, and we put a tweak into it, I think 3 or 4 years ago, basically changing a little bit about how the games played was weighted. But this is what we've been using for, I think, the last 3 or 4 years, and seems to be working well, in my opinion. The playoffs. We got 2 conference championships. We've got a North Atlantic, South Atlantic, Mid-Atlantic, Great Lakes champion. Those 4 teams automatically go to the playoffs. And as we've said in the past, the Great Lakes is automatically going to play the North Atlantic regardless of seed or ranking. Mid-Atlantic is going to play the South Atlantic regardless of seed or ranking, based on basically travel, making the logistics more feasible to accomplish. The South Atlantic Mid-Atlantic game, November 18th at Spartan Field in Salem, Virginia. Fort Lauderdale took down Coppin State. And then in Erie at Dollinger Field, Sacred Heart upset Oakland. And that's what gave us our 2 national championship teams. So heading to the national championship, it was at West Family Stadium in West Liberty. West Liberty University in Wheeling, West Virginia. Second year there, we've had it there. We've really enjoyed the experience there. Love the turf, love the facility. Beautiful new renovations done to the press box area and everything like that. So this was the second year we had it there. Rawlings was our presenting sponsor. We appreciate their dedication to the league and what they were able to help put in for us. Sacred Heart won. I'm sure everybody in here knows that by now. Incredible game, 21-18, nail biter right to the end. A very entertaining game to watch, especially if you didn't have a dog in the race, because it just seemed like teams would go 75 yards down the field and turn it over, and march 75 the other way and turn it over. And so there was a lot of action in the game, a lot of big plays, a lot of when you think someone's going to punch it in and run the score up, there's a turnover and someone's going the other way. So very exciting ball game, and definitely another successful event. And there's the Pioneers. There's their national championship trophy. Everybody got national championship hats, and the MVP got the plaque there. Now, a little bit about why we chose West Family Stadium in Wheeling. Over the years, the teams have given us a list of priorities to what they want out of a national championship venue. And this is the priority list in order that's been fed to us. Being played on a Saturday, being played that weekend. Most important thing after basically the date is that it be held in a central location. This is how West Family Stadium scored in that category of ranking. So that's an exceptional score in terms of ranking the facility options we had. Just to give you a little map of the NCFA, that blue M in the middle, that is the midpoint of the entire NCFA. So northern West Virginia was pretty much spot on for being central. All right, now we're talking about a little bit about Director of Awards and Recognition, Dave Mogensen. Dave is a longtime participant with the NCFA. He was formerly the coach of Wisconsin-Milwaukee. Came on board as a volunteer with us probably about 3 years ago because he wanted to help us do more in terms of player recognition and postseason kind of awards for players and coaches and things like that, besides what is actually, crowned on the field. So one of the things he takes with his time is he gathers all the All-American, academic All-American, and postseason award nominations, and he gathers all the data on that. So he'll reach out to the teams and say, hey, here's a form, nominate the guys from your team that you want looked at as All-Americans. Then once he gets those nominees in, he starts compiling all the stats, pulling all the stats out of our website for those players, and then he moderates the committee that sits down and looks, hey, here's our list of quarterback nominees. Who do we like for one? Who do we like for number two? Things like that. So he really does a great job. Without him, we wouldn't have All-Americans, academic All-Americans, postseason awards. He puts a lot of dedicated time into getting that all together. Additionally, he put together the Game of the Week videos. You may have saw that usually coming out on Friday afternoons. He'd pick a game each week and do like a sort of synopsis of what he expects to see in that weekend's game and put it out on social media. He also participates in our Suite 301 monthly podcast, as we call it, Gridiron Breakdown with Mogs, where he'll talk about some big games that had happened in the last month or that are coming up. And additionally, he came to our national championship again and provided color commentary for our broadcast of the national championship. So the All-Americans, this is the 5th year that we did the All-Americans. Again, teams had to nominate players for consideration. We only look at players that are nominated. We don't have the time to look at every player on every roster. We need each team to say, here's who the special people are, and here is what position they should be looked at, considered for. So if a team didn't nominate, no one was even looked at from that team. Once we have the list of nominees, then we go to the website and start looking at stats. If you didn't put stats in, it's not going to help your guys during the selection process, because that's one of the big factors that we have to take into account when deciding who's an All-American and who's first team, who's all second team, or who's not an All-American at all. So we released them on December 19th, and there's our list. First team All-American, special teams all-purpose player, offense and defense. We released the second team All-Americans as well. And then we had our postseason award winners, where we came up with Offensive Player of the Year, Defensive Player of the Year, Coach of the Year, Team President of the Year, Conference Coordinator of the Year. So congratulations to everybody that earned an award this year. And obviously, there was a lot of hard work put into on the field to get that recognition. Academic All-Americans. These happen to have just been released last night. Dave was able to get everything formatted before so we could get it in time for the meeting. But here's our Academic All-Americans that were released. It's just one team. Excuse me, I didn't format that right. Ignore the second team part of that. But so there's just one group of Academic All-Americans. I believe the requirements were they must have scored a 3.0 or better this past fall semester. And that gets released later because we have to wait until January to get the academic reports to confirm the nominees were that met the requirements to be considered. So again, congratulations to these award winners. I don't know if any of them are in this room at the moment, but it's always great to see young athletes taking care of their schoolwork too. All right, let's going to talk about a little bit about 2018, what's to come, and I'm going to invite Rachel up, and she's going to talk to you about some new teams coming on board.
Hey guys, Rachel Weber. For new teams, we do have 5 officially signed and under contract for the new year, for the 2018 season. We got Florida Gulf Coast for the South Atlantic, Community Christian College, which is in Hampton Road, Virginia, which for Mid-Atlantic East. Roosevelt University, which is a hop, skip, and a jump from Loyola in Chicago, so that's fun for the Great Lakes. Also Johnson & Wales in Providence, Rhode Island for the North Atlantic, and SIUE, we have welcomed them back with open arms, the Great Lakes West. This is it the highest you've had in a long time?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. So it's a big year, very big year, very exciting. Worked really hard on this, so hopefully you guys are happy with it. Potential new teams, we're still in serious talks with SUNY Canton for our Clarkson kids. Apprentice School, which Mr. Allen is here today, right there, so be on your best behavior for him, please. In the Mid-Atlantic, and then Kennesaw State down in Marietta, Georgia for the South Atlantic. So that's what we're looking at for hopefully this coming year. And then for the 2019 season, these are teams that are established, and we're talking to them to see if they would like to come on for the next year. So 2019, this is very early. But South Carolina is looking to come back for the South Atlantic. Northern Kentucky University for the Mid-Atlantic West. University of Maryland for the Mid-Atlantic East. The Auburn University, yes, Auburn, down in South Atlantic, go Georgia. Flagler College down in St. Augustine, Florida for South Atlantic. Cannot say this, but QCC. For the North Atlantic, SUNY Geneseo, I don't know if I said that right. For the North Atlantic, University of Tennessee in the South Atlantic, and the University of South Florida for the South Atlantic. Hopefully, eventually, we'll get our own Florida region for the South Atlantic, which would be a lot of fun. But that's where we're looking at right now, and hopefully we'll have, this time next year, some of these teams on the docket for the 2019 season. Fun stuff. Okay, realignment. Yay.
Thank you, Rachel. All right, we're going to talk about some conference realignment ideas that are running through our head. We will formalize conference realignment on the 12th when conference schedule request forms are due, and we'll have a better idea of who is officially in and who is officially not in for this season. But some updates on the North Atlantic. Losing Hartford, the university decided to shut down their program. On the bright side, we've added Johnson & Wales, kind of stepping right in to replace them. There is potential we might pick up SUNY Canton for this season as well. So that'd be a nice addition. The Mid-Atlantic East, we've added Community Christian in is it Newport News, I think? Anyway, we added Community Christian. There's potential that we could pick up Apprentice School. Hopefully you like what you hear today. And or Maryland, University of Maryland's as Rachel said, she's working with them to get a team started And if they're ready to go for this year, we could potentially add both of those schools to the Mid-Atlantic East. If we add both teams, the Mid-Atlantic East will kind of become too big for one conference, and we may look to split that, like geographically north and south. If that were to happen, the southern portion of that conference would actually join the South Atlantic and become the South Atlantic North. In the South Atlantic, they're losing Lander. Lander, out of South Carolina, didn't play a single game last year. On the bright side, we've added Florida Gulf Coast to replace them. There's potential that Kennesaw State could be coming on board this year too, which would be another nice addition to give another team in the conference. And then I guess really the only shakeup that could happen is if that Mid-Atlantic East were to grow real big this year, it's possible the SAC could become kind of like the Great Lakes in the Mid-Atlantic, where it's got a north and a south to it, and they're competing for the conference title against each other. Great Lakes West, added Roosevelt and SIUE. Great Lakes East, there's potential to be losing Flint and or Eastern Michigan. At this point in time, Eastern Michigan claims that they're coming back, but the facts are the facts. We don't have paperwork from them, and we don't have paperwork from Flint either. If we were to lose both those teams, obviously we're not going to leave the Great Lakes East as a two-team conference, so we'll look at what is the best option there. Do we merge them with the West to form one 7-team conference? Do we potentially combine them with the Ohio schools? We'll evaluate that when we figure out exactly what's happening with Eastern and Flint. Conference scheduling. Schedule request forms. Please go into your packets. You'll find a sample schedule request form. I'd like you to pull that out. Schedule request forms are due February 12th. It is imperative that you're not late with these. It's important to be accurate, to be thorough, and to be flexible. So what we're looking, I think I say it every year, and I'm going to say it again. What we're looking for is your availability. We don't want you to go out and try to create your own conference schedule. Don't waste your time with that. You're wasting your time, because just because you say, I want to play these 4 teams, home and away, this and that, on these exact dates, doesn't mean all those teams can actually match that up, or that it's the best interest of the conference. What we want to know is your availability. So I would recommend you start with, hey, when can't we play? When do we need to be off? Is it, we got a winter break where everyone's going home, we need that weekend off. All right, put it on off, and tell us why. Winter break, students are going home. Maybe you've already got a non-conference game scheduled. Hey, we're playing Concordia JV team, week 2 of the season. Please don't schedule us conference games there. Put that in there, let us know. All right, then when can't you play at home? All right, here's some dates where we don't have access to a field, so we have to be away. All right, put that in there. When do you really want to be at home? Why? Miami, you guys like your varsity field. So you put on there, hey, we have access to varsity field this day, and this day. Put that in there, varsity field access. Oakland, I know that you like to do stuff for homecoming. Hey, this is our homecoming. Big red X, want that to be a home game. That's what we want to know. We take that information, and it's easy for us to put the puzzle together once we have that information. Again, it's important to be accurate. If you send us something on the 12th that says week 4 is homecoming, we really want to play you at home, and we release a schedule with a home game for you on week 4, and then you come back to us 2 weeks later and said, oh, our homecoming is week 6. Sorry. So that's what, we want to get this thing turned around quickly. So on the 12th, get those schedule request forms to us. And our goal, we should have the schedules released by the 16th. That is our goal. And then once the conference schedules are released, you're all going to have gaps in the schedule. We like to front load. We'd rather have the conference games later in the season, give you the chance to play non-conference games. Kind of get the rust off, get your wheels in motion, hit the ground running. Now we're in the conference play. Now you're at full effect. Let's get into the heart and meat of the season. So we'd rather backload the schedule later into the year with conference games. But once that conference schedule is released, by all means, we're going to give you contact information for everybody in the conference. I know you all have secret contacts for teams that aren't in the league, JV teams, JUCO teams, NAIA schools. Schedule with them, by all means. Fill up your schedule as much as you'd like. And one of the other things, we're gonna talk about this when Scott talks about the fall kickoff, but if you want to participate in this fall kickoff, put it on your schedule request form. Hey, we plan to play, whatever week it is, we plan to play in the fall kickoff. You know, don't schedule us this week. So, all right. And speaking of fall kickoff, let's bring Scott back up.
Hello again, everybody. So, as Sandy alluded to, we're having the fall kickoff coming up again this year. I want to say October 6th is like week 4, something along those lines there. I believe it's week 9.
It's week 4.
Week 4, I guess, so, again, be hosting it at Pitt once again. As you guys saw, the map that Sandy provided earlier, showing the geographic center of the league. Pitt is about 40 miles east of Wheeling, so not too far away from where we have our national championship game. Fun event. We've had lots of great games in the event. Certain teams here, I know Ohio State can attest to, they've had some really good events, fun games before. Talk to me as soon as you can. Teams tend to be pretty excited to come up to this. I've been a player and run the event before. I always have a great time. Put in your schedule request form. Doesn't guarantee you'll be in it, but if you can request it, Sandy will do his best to make sure that you guys are available that weekend and not playing a conference game. When you turn in a registration form and a deposit no later than June 1st, we want to make sure we have this set as far ahead of time, so both myself and Pitt can finalize planning for the event. Registration is limited. It's really only the first 5 teams because we'd like our host team to be able to play in the event. So first 5 teams, feel free to come up, talk to me, email me, call me. There'll be a space for this. So this is a list of teams that we've had play in the event before. It's a pretty long list for only 4 years of games. You get a little glimpse there of the Pitt Club Sports Dome with Pitt as they won their, I believe that was your first ever win as a program too, which was so the big event, first ever home game, first ever win. Was a very cool event to see. Top pictures from our original fall kickoff. So feel free to talk to me during the break. Talk to each other. The fun part about this is you can challenge other teams while you're here. I did that as a player when I was at Mason. That's how we ended up playing Wright State. So reach out to me before we leave today at the break or after we wrap up.
All right, yeah, the fall kickoff's a great opportunity to play somebody you really wouldn't never really match up with, except maybe at the national championship, without having to drive all the way across the country. So, yeah, definitely, if you can put it in your budget to make it happen, it's a worthwhile event. All right, 2018 conference championships. Once again, conferences that have been split east, west, north, south will once again have the winners of each side play for the conference title. It'll be determined, last year, both conferences that were set up like that, Mid-Atlantic and Great Lakes, they decided to go with the option of that whichever winner was ranked higher hosted the game. The conferences will again get the opportunity to decide on their own if that's the route they want to do, or do they want to do, find a neutral site kind of in the middle and split the hosting costs of that conference championship game. Conferences that are not split directionally will once again have the number 2 team travel the number 1 team for the conference title. And conference championships will be the weekend of November 10th. NCFA playoffs, again, North Atlantic versus South Atlantic, or North Atlantic versus Great Lakes, Mid-Atlantic versus South Atlantic at a neutral site. Playoffs will be on the 17th of November, the week after the conference championships. Those neutral sites will be determined. Salem and Erie, PA, were the sites for the last 2 playoffs. We're going to look at those again, but number 1, central location is our number 1 priority. So as we've added some teams, we're going to reevaluate where are our central points, make sure before we just jump on those cities or those facilities, make sure that they are still considered central, because we do have some movement with teams coming and going. National championship will be Saturday, December 1st. Basically, 16 and 17 were tremendous events, our best ever being held in Wheeling at West Liberty University. So we're definitely going to pursue them as another option. Again, we want to evaluate now that we've added some new teams, once we know exactly who's in. Is Wheeling Central still within the whole NCFA? I believe it will be, but we'll evaluate that, but we definitely are happy with the experience we've had there based on the facility, the location, and the way, you know, the community, we've been able to work with the people at the facility to put on the games. Again, here's our, again, you know, this is regurgitating before what our facility search priorities are. If this should be changed, now is the time to change it. If you think, you know, central location isn't that important, we need to know that, you know, before we march down the road of going back to West Virginia. If, you know, in our baseball league, sometimes the teams have different things. You know, their priorities in our league used to be, we want it to be somewhere fun. Basically, they meant find us a field at the beach. So we were in Florida for 10 or 12 years because they didn't care about the travel. They didn't care about central location. They cared about, when they weren't playing baseball, they wanted to be able to have fun. Different dynamic here, that's a 7-day tournament. We're talking a 4-hour window of competition. So should we proceed with this being our priority list when choosing a facility? Or is there something that you'd see? Speak now, forever hold your peace. Roll with this, keep this our objective. Going, gone. All right. I'm going to take a break. I'm going to let our marketing crew come up here and talk to you about our sponsors and our fundraiser.
The playoff thing, are you all the ones that are going to decide that, or is that going to be
The playoff?
a situation when you said we were going to look at the playoff assignment situation?
We're going to look, as we know who's in what conference, we'll evaluate where is the center of the Mid-Atlantic, South Atlantic. Find that point on the map and then go from there in determining where a good neutral site will be. So. Does that answer your question? All right. First up, Tracy Reardon, fundraising sponsor account.
Thanks, Sandy's a little bit taller than I am. So, like he said, my name's Tracy. I'm the fundraising sponsor account manager for the Football League as well as all of our other leagues under the CCS umbrella. The official fundraising partner of the NCFA is Fundraiser. It's been for as long as I've been here and a few more years after that. Fundraiser is an online fundraising platform for any team's budgetary needs. I know a lot of football teams, a lot of you in this room do a lot yourself. Some of you get some funding from the school, some of you are completely funded by the school, but it never hurts to, you know, raise money for your own needs or apparel or anything like that. You could start a campaign online completely free of charge. You can share it on Facebook, Twitter, your team websites, your person, send it via email, and it will reach a bunch of potential donors. It's also good if you want to invite your players on your team to do a kind of a friendly competition, see how many people they can actually reach by sending out the fundraiser campaign, and they can kind of see who donates based off of who they sent it to. All you need are an email address and a verified PayPal account. In your slides that you have, my email is there, and it's up on the website as well if you ever have any questions about it. Florida Club Football, they're not here today, but they did something different this year than what has been done in previous years. Equipment, they need helmets, things like that. So if you're a team that might struggle with holding players accountable for either paying dues or something of that nature, something like this where you can make each player accountable for raising a certain amount of money and showing that they have, it might be beneficial to you. And each player's campaign was tied to a master campaign, so it did tally how much money was collected by each player on one page. And like I said, it's a great way to hold players responsible and start some kind of friendly competition to see if they can reach that goal as well as exceed it. And this was their master campaign. They raised almost $4,000. To some of you, that might be extremely beneficial to raise $4,000. I mean, I hope to all of you it's extremely beneficial. And a lot of our teams who do put stuff together, they use our campaign, they do say that as long as the kids are promoting it often and sending it out on different social media platforms that it is successful for them. And one of our success stories from just last year, Salisbury got a bid to the World Series, and in 8 days they raised almost $11,400. So the fact that they had a little over a week to do this and they made $11,000 kind of shows that if you use it properly and you put in the effort to promote it on all these different platforms, send it out via email, it can be extremely helpful with postseason, with travel, anything that you could think of. And then we want to open up the floor to you guys to kind of just go around to each of the teams that are here and say what kind of fundraising that you all do to kind of help each other and maybe bring up some ideas that someone on another team might not have thought of. So, Pitt, you guys are over there first. Do you guys do any kind of fundraising?
We just opened up a team store to our players can easily buy club sport food.
Apparel sale?
Yeah.
I don't, Miami?
We do a apparel sale and partner with local businesses and authors, so they give us a day, and then from that day percentage of sales, we get the club.
And then,
We usually get a certain time frame at restaurants and whatever sales we get a percentage of.
like a team night kind of thing?
Yeah, we're just working on getting corporate sponsors and run a couple different kind of things that we've done, doing a golf outing this year, done a casino bus trip over this past year where we just sell tickets and stuff, you take a bus trip up to a casino and stuff, but yeah, some different things.
We went through concessions for the Charlotte Hornets, and also we had 3 minor league baseball teams in the area that we just did as well.
Our university is really trying to do a sponsorship, so we don't call it that, we sell advertising. So we have a season program that looks like a magazine, and we sell basically like $1,000 for a full page ad, $500 for a half page ad, and $250 for a quarter page ad. And we print like 1,000 of these and we give them away at our games. We also sell banners. The player sells a banner. There's a picture of the player with the company that bought the banner. Those are $100
Right.
per banner. If it's a company that doesn't want an ad, they want a banner on the field, we give them like a 3x8 banner for $1,000. So we just make sure that it's up every game.
And then also we like to partner with restaurants, and then we'll do a percentage of the sales for that time frame. It doesn't really require us to have to be there and the whole team like helping out.
Right.
You know, we're just trying to advertise, market, and then trying to get as many people there.
Fort Lauderdale?
Well, last year, we ended up being completely school funded, but this year, I will go in a somewhat 50-50 direction. So we'll be talking about that and some other things we're opening up this year. Actually, we're scheduling some camps coming up, and some corporate stuff coming up where we want to do some things and ripple it in this country. So that's kind of what we're doing.
Is it Clarkson?
We do t-shirt sales during games. We buy a bunch of t-shirts and then we use some like $20 to make usually $10 off that. We also do 2 to 3 big can drives per year. And then this year we're looking at doing sponsorships with local businesses and restaurants in our area. And pretty much other than that, we're usually sponsored pretty well by our school. So.
We do basically a team store as well. We do a lot of stuff on that, and then we go to the neighborhood, into the community, and basically just give some of the major corporations that have donations from the area.
Lately with the school, putting together team moms now, some of the players' moms are coming together and they're gonna start doing some stuff just because they want to heavily get involved, the moms, so that's what
Yeah, we don't have, we haven't been doing fundraisers recently, but we're looking to change that this year. We don't know what we're going to do yet.
Well, definitely get in touch with me and I'll help you guys out.
Thank you.
Alrighty.
Just touch real quick on the fundraiser program. And many of you guys have heard of GoFundMe, right? It's kind of a more famous brand. The same concept as GoFundMe. One of the things that we partnered with Fundraiser instead of GoFundMe. Both companies, they're businesses, they gotta make money, right? They take a percentage of what you bring in. You bring in $1,000, GoFundMe takes 4%? GoFundMe takes 5%. We partnered with Fundraiser because they only take 4%. So that's one of the reasons we decided to partner with them, is because they take a smaller portion. It's a little bit of difference, but hey, every penny counts, and that's a penny that ends up in your pocket. So,
It's also,
What happened to Pledge It?
nobody was using it, so we, just one second, please. Yeah, it was, you know, some teams were successful with it, but we were putting more effort into promoting it than teams were taking advantage of it, so it was just kind of becoming a waste of our time. So we parted ways with that. That organization was started, we lobbied them to create a fundraising division more for club sports. That whole company was formed for NFL professional athletes to raise money for charities. That's why you see a lot of guys, Phil Rivers, got a big campaign with it, so forth. Kyle Seeger, that's a big campaign with it. So it was designed for professional athletes. I know the guy who designed it. I just tried to give him a version of the world.
just one last thing before I hand off the baton. Aaron from Florida, he came to me asking about doing the individual player campaigns. That was never something that a team had asked me about, so I honestly had no idea. Daryl is our contact at Fundraiser, and he is absolutely phenomenal. If you guys want to do a offense versus defense kind of thing, if you want to do something different to kind of spark that want and will to raise money for your club, he will work with you and be able to help you create the kind of campaign that you guys want to make for your team. So after seeing that, I feel like the options and opportunities with Fundraiser are endless, honestly. So, and with that being said, if you have any other questions about fundraising, again, my email is in the packet, but I will bring up Alex Kane to talk about our travel sponsors.
Thank you, Tracy. Like she said, my name is Alex. I am the travel sponsor account manager for the NCFA, as well as all of our other leagues here at Pole Club Sports. Talk to you guys a little bit today about Motel 6 and our partnership with Avis as well. First up, we do have Motel 6. They are the official lodging partner of the NCFA. Teams, players, family, friends, basically anybody can use it. You guys can do it for personal reasons or even use it on your football trips. I know a lot of you guys probably make the trip and then go home, but if you're traveling long distances, it's definitely an option for you guys to take a look at. You guys will get 10% off the best available rate. The booking portal online is very simple. You use it basically just like any other hotel reservation site, except Motel 6 is specifically designed just for our leagues. You go on and just fill out your information, and they immediately take the 10% off of the best available rate after your search. You can also go ahead and speak to a Motel 6 representative if you guys don't want to use our portal. Just make sure that you guys are using our corporate code. It's on your sheet. Or like I said, you can also follow the corporate portal that we have for Motel 6. It's on our website and our sponsorship pages. If you guys have any questions, obviously you can contact myself. I'm happy to help out. As far as car rental services, we're partnered with Avis. They are the official rental van and car agency of the NCFA. It's great because they have vehicle classes from compact cars to 15-passenger vans, and obviously that would be great for you guys. If you guys don't take buses, you can rent a couple 15-passenger vans. Go ahead and put a university magnet on the side, look a little bit more official, and it's great because with only 2 or 3 cars, you know that most of your team's going to show up at the same time instead of having to carpool, taking 6, 8, 10 cars, whatever it takes, just to get you guys all there. So that's a great idea. The big thing with Avis is they do waive the under 25 fee, and that's key because a lot of times that's going to be just as expensive as the rental itself. So with that getting waived, you guys are going to be saving a lot of money there. Again, just like Motel 6, you guys can use this as a personal thing or for any NCFA-related trips you might have. Booking's very easy. You can call their national reservation hotline, or you can go to avis.com to book. Either way, just make sure you're either typing in our discount code or mentioning our discount code to the representative. That can be found at the bottom of your sheet here. Also with Avis, they do have a Avis Preferred program. This program is already linked to our discounts. So when you sign up for this Avis Preferred program, you then start accumulating benefits on your own side instead of getting benefits from us as well. With this, it's free to join. You guys accumulate points that can later be then redeemed for free rental days. So, if you've got multiple trips throughout the year, at the end of the year, you might have enough points to basically have a free trip on Avis. Like I said, it is free to join. Go ahead and follow the link here at the bottom of your sheets and sign up and start saving money. You guys have any questions with any of our travel sponsors?
So, do we no longer have sponsorship through Enterprise?
No, we do not. No, it's just through Avis now. Anybody else? All right, well, next up, we're going to talk a little bit of equipment sponsors. First up, we'll bring up Joe Schaefer, who'll talk to you a little bit about our Wilson sponsorship.
You're gonna raise this up. All right, yeah, like Alex just said, my name's Joe Schaefer, the Wilson sponsor account manager for all of the leagues under the club sports body, as well as the North Atlantic Conference coordinator for the NCFA. Just to talk to you guys about these, the game footballs. Wilson is the official game ball provider for the league. The ball that's going around is the GST 1003 model. Each team that's in the league will be provided with 6 complimentary footballs. They'll be used 4 games, must be used 4 games. You'll notice that the NCFA logo is printed onto the football, along with your university's name will be printed on as well. We start dealing with the orders for these footballs in the summer. So eventually I will send you guys out information about how to provide the address that you're going to be using for these footballs to be delivered to. The key thing here is for you guys to actually send me the information back as soon as possible. We want to avoid any potential situations that would delay you guys receiving these footballs. So my best recommendation would be, when I send that email out, just fire back your information same day. Don't wait until too long to send that information to me. We just want to avoid any conflicts at all costs. So for additional footballs, you guys are eligible for exclusive pricing on 2 different types of footballs. The first one would be practice footballs. It's the WTF 1233B model. It's still a GST model. It's just not as high of a quality as a football as the game ball is being passed around. With your membership within the league, each football that you would plan to order, practice football you would plan to order, would run you $46. When you submit the order, you have to order at least a minimum of 3 footballs. And then you're also welcome to order more game footballs, just like the one going around. The NCFA logo and your school's name will be included on that football as well. Those run you $69, and when you order those, you have to at least order a minimum of 6 footballs. And then here is just a depiction of what it would look like. So you can see that going around. Logos on there. Right under where it says 2017 National Championship Game is where your school's name would go. Yeah, that's basically it. If you guys have any questions, feel free to ask now. You can ask during the break. Ask after the meeting. Anything you guys think about, just let me know. And glad to help you guys out anytime. All right, next up is Paul Williams. He's going to talk to you guys about the Rawlings account.
All right, so like Joe said, my name is Paul. I'm the Rawlings account manager for the NCFA. My job is to pretty much help you guys get the best deal possible on uniforms and apparel. I have some samples here. I'll pass around. All right, so Rawlings is the official uniform provider of the NCFA. As NCFA members, you guys will receive discounts year-round. Right now, we are in the 45% discount period, which means from now through the end of June, you guys will receive 45% off your uniform orders. Starting in July, that's going to drop to 35%, which is still a great discount, but obviously 45% is better. Now it's definitely the best time to get your orders in. All your jerseys and pants will come with the NCFA patch included on it. There's a couple different levels of jerseys that we offer. There's stock, sublimated, and custom. Sublimated jerseys, well, they're a little bit different than the stock and custom. They have your decoration built directly into the jersey as opposed to being sewn on, which is what the stock and custom jerseys will come with. It's kind of a team preference thing, whatever you guys think looks good. These jerseys are completely customizable. You can get your team names, your numbers, your player names if you want them, team logos. It's all available to you guys. The best way for me to help you out is if you go to this link down here, mylocker.rawlings.com. On this site, you can see what jerseys Rawlings has to offer. Then you can customize them, get your team colors, all that. Once you have a design you like, send me the link, and I can go over some of your options and your pricing from there. Rawlings is also the official performance apparel supplier of the NCFA. Again, as members of the NCFA, you will receive your discounts. We're in the 45% discount period. That drops to 35% starting in July. Your performance apparel items will include your t-shirts, sweatshirts, shorts, pants, all that good stuff. I know a couple of you mentioned that you have team stores available for fundraising opportunities. If you guys would be interested in getting some Rawlings apparel and selling that along with your stuff, that would be awesome. Feel free to contact me at any time. I can help you out with quotes, kind of show you what's available. You guys are getting a great discount on this stuff. If you're in need of uniforms, there's really no reason you shouldn't at least shoot me an email, see what we have to offer. So why Rawlings? Again, kind of like what I just said, huge variety. Like if you go on that My Locker page, there's tons of options. Then as soon as you start getting into, what colors are available, what you can do with them, it's really pretty impressive what we have to offer. It's great quality stuff. So yeah, does anyone have any questions? All right. Well, again, please contact me. Next up, we're going to be talking about the game. Sandy's going to present this.
All right. Yeah, Felicia is with us. Felicia's not with us. We'll tell you about the game a little bit. The game is a headwear company. Pass these around. Check those out. We don't usually think headwear, football, that sort of thing. Obviously, our baseball league has 380 teams, and every single team in that league wears the game brand hats. So we do a ton of volume in the baseball category. With that, we get huge discount pricing. So we want to just relay that over to you guys, let you know that you have the ability to take advantage of that. And you guys want to do sideline caps or for coaches or visors or just hats, hit club football hats. You guys can wear around campus, be proud. Maybe it's something you want to add to your souvenir store that you sell at your games. We get great pricing on this stuff. Felicia's the person to talk to if you're interested. They do the beanies, the winter beanies, they do the beanies that you can put on your football helmet. They're all customizable. You can go to the game, headwear.com, and check out their full catalog. They also have, their early order discount period is a little different because they're primarily a baseball company. They're slow in the fall, basically while you're playing. So they offer a bigger discount in the fall. They're trying to drive some business into their slow season. So I think it might be $1 off a cap if you order during their discount period. They're going to put the NCFA logo on it on the back, free of charge for you. The boonie hat you see comes through there. They're a big popular item right now. Guys are obviously not like a performance thing, but guys just want to wear it around campus and have fun with it. The trucker hats that are going to buy. You see that the national championship caps that they created for our Sacred Heart. There's an example there. Hopefully, I think you guys got game hats last year as well. All right, so that's it for the game. Any questions on headwear? All right, I'm excited to talk about this now. This is our newest sponsor. We haven't even announced it to the public yet. The press release comes out on Monday. We signed a deal with Performance Elite, Phenom Elite, for gloves, receiver gloves, lineman gloves, and what they're doing is they're offering anybody in the NCFA 20% off their stock items. So, you know, 3 to 5 day turnaround, they pick it off the shelf, they set it to 20% off. What's more exciting, I almost don't even care about that, is, you know, Ohio State, your varsity guys got the Blanco, you know, right, they got the Buckeye or something like that. They're making custom gloves too, and they'll make custom gloves for you guys. So you guys can get the, you know, the Middle Georgia logo, button right there, you know, and they're knocking the prices up. Rachel, I believe the normal price for a custom set of gloves with them is $60 a pair. They're cutting them down to $30 for skill sets. Let me pass this around. $30 for skill sets, $35 for lineman gloves, and then you get to customize it. You pick the color combinations, you can pick what you want the palms to say, and so forth. The customization is like a 5 to 6 week turnaround, so it's not something you want to plan ahead for that. You want to think about that on 5 days before kickoff of week 1. And there are 12 set minimums to go to the custom round. But I think we think it's pretty something that's going to be really fun for these teams that they can get to do and make a custom receiver in line. Just a little bit about Phenom Elite. They also partnered with Randy Moss, and they created his glove line. It's one of the market they call it the SDR gloves only. They also work with a lot of AFL and IFL teams, and they do some colleges. They're based out of South Carolina, so they're growing based out in the Southeast regionally, and they're real excited to partner with us because they think we're going to be able to help them get exposure more nationally. Now, we had to do some mock-ups of what, you know, potentially this gloves could look like. Here's a set we had them make for the Sacred Heart. You know, picking the color combinations, doing the palms. We had to make a, you know, all black set for Middle Georgia. But again, you can do all, you know, maybe you want to go crazy pink for breast cancer awareness. You know, you can do whatever you want. And they'll make them custom for you. So you can do all kinds of fun stuff. So we're real excited to be partnering with them. They're excited to get involved with us. And we think it's something that your guys would really get behind. I think it's one of those things where, you know, we talked about before about, you know, sometimes feeling like secondhand citizens as club players. Here's something that's more like a little varsity level kind of perk. So, let me go back real quick. Nathan Dorton at the bottom. That's our contact at Phenom Elite. So if you are interested, it should be in your slides. This is something you want to pursue. Shoot Nathan an email. Make sure you let him know you're with the NCFA. He's going to take good care of you. So, any questions?
Just a general comment for a lot of bigger universities. You need to be really careful with that because of the logos. Because a lot of times we have to get things approved to our school. Like Rawlings, we could never buy anything. Because of contracts with Ohio State Bank. But
right.
Be aware of that.
There's licensing procedures put in place with that. Right. Your university would have to approve that if you use their trademark. Maybe you put something different in the palms of your gloves. It's not specifically Ohio State. Maybe you put something.
maybe just trying to share information, make sure
Right.
no one does anything.
Okay. All right, let's take a little break. There's snacks, there's drinks in the back. We're gonna go 15 minutes. If you need to use the restroom, right up the steps on the left, it says women's. Ignore that, just use it. The men's room's so far away, you might not like it. I mean, I got
something needs to go on a ballot, we'll put it on a ballot, and the ballot will come out next week. And then, you know, as usual, every team in the league, every member team gets one vote on anything that gets on the ballot. We're going to bring up, we have a few issues we want to address first, and we'll open up, maybe we would like to have a discussion about. So the goal is going to be to have the voting results out in about 2 weeks. Our first issue, operational personnel. We need more volunteers. We lost Eric Kenner. We appreciate the service we got from him from the last 5 years. But we need more volunteers, especially conference coordinators. The NCFA survival is predicated on it. You know, former officers, players, coaches. You know, we're not that picky. Heck, you got some overeager parents that want to get involved. Send them our way. We need more volunteers. That's how this organization thrives. You know, you can do the math. You know what you pay in dues. We only got 26 teams. It's really not a lot of money that we have for an operating budget. So, you know, we need volunteers in order to keep the thing going and to make this, you know, grow and be successful. Basically what I'm saying, we need more Scott Hoffmans and Dave Mogensen's. If you know people out there, maybe a former president, maybe a former player, think about the guys that you know, that were good guys that you think would want to be involved in the game some more. It's not a crazy amount of time, but it does need some dedication, you know, emails and things like that, answering questions. But then there's some fun parts to it. You get to come to help to work the national championship game. I mean, Scott enjoys it. We haven't been able to shake him loose for what, 5 years now. You know, there's perks to it as well. It's not all just work. It's, you know, it's an opportunity to give back to the organization. So we need to keep the league operationally efficient. Time equals money, and there isn't a lot of extra money, so we can't be wasting time. Something to keep in mind. If you have somebody in mind, like, hey, this guy, or maybe it's someone in this room, it's like, hey, I'd like to get more involved. Please come to me. Let me know. Don't keep it a secret, because it is important stuff. Any questions, comments in that department? Academic eligibility. This is something we want to bring up. It came up this year. It was kind of a new topic. The idea of non-matriculated students. Are they eligible to play? Our rules state you must be taking 6 credits at the school to be eligible, and they must maintain a 2.0 GPA in pursuit of, maintain a 2.0 GPA. So we came across this issue with a non-matriculated student, or a couple of them, wanting to play in the league. They were basically, as I understand it, non-matriculated students aren't seeking a degree. It could be, I could go across the street to CCAC and sign up for, a typing class, 2-credit typing class. I can, just because I want to learn to type, I can sign up for, I don't know, basket weaving, because I want to learn to basket weave, and my math skills are getting rusty, so I take an algebra class. I can do that. I'm not going to get a degree, but I'm technically taking 6 credits. Are those students, should those students be considered eligible? One of the, from one standpoint, they are taking the credits at the school. From the other standpoint is, because they're not seeking a degree, they're not really accountable for their academic performance, because they don't really lose anything if they never show up to class. Does this create a loophole where ringers can start joining the league who aren't really have any interest in pursuing any college education? I'm curious what you guys think about this. I'm not entirely sure how I feel about it, but it's something I want to address because it came up this past year, and it became very concerning as how do we treat those students?
How would you go back about determining who is one of those students? Because I feel like that'd be extremely difficult to determine.
The university came to us. The club sports director came to us and said, hey, what about matriculating students? And I said, I don't even know what that means. I had to look it up. And then we had to evaluate the whole situation with that player. We decided he was eligible because our rules say 6 credits at the school, It was his first semester, so he didn't have a GPA yet, so it's not like he was below the threshold. So we declared him eligible. Is that how you want us handling that moving forward?
So using that rationale, technically, if they're not coming back for a second year, to have a 2.0 to uphold, then they would be eligible anyway, right?
Right,
So we only basically talked about one season of issue.
right.
I think the percentage of a lot of the freshmen, when they high dropout or fall behind in general, I think it may be hard to, I guess, obtain an opinion on who is actually serious and who not, because it could be a little bit adjustment for a kid that is just starting college, and they didn't really have much interest, but they wanted to, their parents want to, and so it may come off as being that kind of a student, but at the same time, at what point do you draw a line and say, oh, you agree with this, you agree with this?
And non-matriculated is a title of a student. Like most of you in here are undergraduates. You're seeking an undergraduate degree. Some of you might be seeking a graduate degree. A non-matriculated student is a actual title in the registrar's office at the school. Because that person, like I'm not even sure they even have to take exams. Literally, they can just, they're paying to sit in on classes because they want to learn, they claim they want to learn that something.
So if it's in the registry, it would just be as simple as like, we all have to submit paperwork from our college club sports office that says this kid attends here and he has the GPA requirement. Can't you just simply say, and he's also an undergraduate student or seeking a degree higher than an undergraduate?
This, how we obtain who's who, I don't think will be the problem. My question for you is, should this person be eligible to play? I think that's the question on the table.
I mean, at the core foundation of it, a student is a student. So, I mean, as long as they're taking classes, I mean, I don't see many people coming to college with the one and done to play club football. That's no knock on club football at all, but I don't really see someone purposely trying to stroke the system, if you will, just to play club football. So why should we limit their access to any club sports at the university system rather than not?
Well, I was going to also say, like, I guess this kind of depends on each university's tuition, but for instance, if we're worried about, the instance of the ringer, if you're an in-state student at Pennsylvania, University of Pittsburgh, it would cost you $5,300 to take 6 credits as a non-matriculated student. I don't know who wants to pay $5,000 to come be a ringer for a team, and if you're an out-of-state student, you're paying $9,000 for 6 credits. So you talk about football. I imagine that cost might be lower at other universities depending on their tuition, but the idea that I'm going to spend $2,000-3,000 just so I can go play football seems a little bit unlikely.
Okay. So it sounds like what I'm hearing is, hey, as long as they're taking 6 credits, they're good. Anybody opposed to that? Oakland, do you have any comments on this topic?
Yeah, transfer student owed money from his former university, couldn't get his transcripts in time, and admissions require a transcript, but give money, so he still wanted to attend, and so.
That's the story behind your matriculated guy?
Yeah.
Non-matriculated?
So that was the way you could get in without having to pay his bill from his own university.
Okay.
So.
All right. Well, it sounds like basically everyone's in agreement. As long as you got the 6 credits at the school, you're good to go. Moving on. Field requirements. This is something that definitely needs our attention. Not that it's it's more to avoid a problem. It sort of came up in 2 instances this year. NCAA rules say the field must be lined in white. I didn't even realize that until it came up in conversation. I dug into the rule book and found that out. Oakland got access to a new field, and their administration painted football lines on it in yellow. And Nick's on top of everything. He said, Sandy, look at the rule book. It says it has to be white. We don't want to have to forfeit games because we have a yellow field. So we dug into that a little bit. Pitt just got a brand new facility, beautiful dome. I mean, what an asset to be able to have access to. I don't think your football lines are white in there either. You got purple lines, blue lines, yellow lines, red lines, depending on what sport they're playing in there that day. So technically, their yellow line field, which I know you guys corrected and repainted white, and your field are technically illegal by the way the rules are now. My opinion, they shouldn't be, so I'd like to talk about it and potentially address our rule book so that it's not an issue that would come back and hurt any of our teams.
Personally, I don't think it's an issue as long as it's outlined in the same constant color. I mean, like say, like on our field, we have soccer lines on it, but our football field is a distinctive color.
So everything that's blue is football, and everything that's red is soccer.
Don't cross colors, and
Right.
it shouldn't be an issue.
Well, if that was the case, our soccer lines are white and football lines are white.
I think that that seems like that could be extremely complicated.
I mean, it's, as long as the lines are visible to the players that are on the field, that's all it matters. I mean, as long as during the game, a player can differentiate between what line is what. You know what I mean? Like if I'm looking down the field and I say, okay, that's the next 10 yards, that's where I need to go for a first down, that's all that matters.
And
Everything else is true.
And it was an issue because we obviously practiced on that field too, on a green turf field with yellow lines. The quarterback couldn't see the sidelines. And he was overthrowing players on his own home football field because the lines were yellow. So, like, there needs to be contrast. We need to be able to see- reasonably see the yard lines.
Does anybody else have this issue? Does anybody else use a field or come across fields that aren't lined in white?
Ours is multi-use as well.
So you got the rainbow of colors going on. So Coppin State's,
Yeah, my point is that Coppin State, they have yellow line going into each end, the rest of the field is white.
but the goal line is yellow.
Goal line, yeah.
And that's NCAA, the goal line can be different color.
So what do we want, so it sounds like we should address this, we're all in agreement, you know, something needs to be addressed here. Put on the ballot that basically, as long as the field is lined, and all the football lines are the same color,
With a contrast.
with contrast to,
To whatever color it is, like if it's a green field, don't use like a yellow line.
okay.
'Cause that can be hard to see.
Is that, what do you, is that, what color is your football lines?
They're like light blue, most of them are like looks white on film, but like, we don't have anything that's like,
I'd say they're huge contrasting.
Yeah,
Theirs is definitely.
there was no issue with this. There was no issue with this.
I'm not even sure, yeah, like,
We haven't had an issue, I don't think any other schools have had an issue with it. Other than that, like, they're white outside.
Right. Only one complained.
what?
Only one complained. And they're not here. Yes, Rachel?
Just for clarification for the ballot, so I'm saying as long as the field is lined the same color with contrast to the field, it should be allowed.
Correct.
Yes?
Does that sound right?
Yeah.
All right.
So white sideline and the gold, yellow, gold line.
Well, the rules already state the goal line can be a different color. That's already in. Midfield logo, something we came up. NCAA has a rule that, and then Nick, I know you're a little more familiar with this than I am. The logo at the middle, center of the field is only allowed to be so big. I say we just scratch that. I mean, if your field's got a center logo, awesome. Agreed? Agreed. Got that, Rachel? Temporary goalposts. I know Pitt's got a kind of a unique situation because of their dome. Their goalposts are suspended from like the ceiling or something, right? It's, hey, I've been in your facility. It's awesome. I want to make sure that your guys are protected and allowed to use it. Anybody, what are your guys' opinions on this? I mean, the fact that they've got goalposts that are just different.
I mean, the real only issue that I can see with their goalpost is like, what if the football hits the yellow line that would be their goalpost? It's not like it bounces like with real goalpost. Does it count as in? Does it count as out?
Okay, there's no way to bounce through. It's always bouncing back.
Which is like, does it? What exactly do we count that as? Is it good? Is it not good?
I mean, one of the best thought they kind of like figured out ahead of time on both teams. I'm pretty sure they talked with both teams from my memory about like if it's going to hit the yellow line, then we're going to like redo it, or like when we want to redo it, call it out or call it. So I think they.
It was basically the referee's discretion.
Yeah.
There was their judgment on that. I mean, on the one side, both teams are playing against the same situation.
I definitely don't like the idea of free kick.
You don't like the idea of free kick. You like the idea of, hey, ref, you make the call, and if we don't like it, we're going to yell at you.
I prefer that over free kicking.
Okay.
I mean, we have the same rule in place, say if time hits the ceiling or something, it's a free kick. So I just want to put that up there.
They're going to go with it as one.
Or if it's one of those, line, or one of those strings that go across. But that's different. That's a whole different situation than a goal post.
Yeah.
Anybody against the idea of making it legal to have these temporary goalposts?
Always legal, but like goalposts in general, because I know we play on college and they're narrowing our goalposts, but theirs are still, I think, high school regulation. Is there a rule that says how wide the goalpost is?
We have an exclusion in our rules that says high school goalposts are okay.
Goalposts?
College goalposts are okay too, but you can have them as wide as high school.
Yeah, as wide. I just wanted to make sure.
As long as both ends are
was
the
having
same.
problems with that last year, trying to adjust.
Right. All right, Rachel, so we're gonna put on there.
I'm saying legal to have these temporary posts, but I didn't know if you guys wanted to add agreement ahead of time that the referee will make the final call, just to make it black and white of.
I mean, you could also make an agreement at the very beginning between the two teams that if it hits the goalpost, it's in, or if it hits it, it's not in. Like, as to the two teams, you can make that agreement.
I think that's the way to sit down.
Just handle it at the pregame.
And what if you disagree as well? Who gets the conversation?
Referees do tiebreaker.
Home team rules.
All right.
Yeah?
Well, if it's home team rules, then the home team automatically decides.
The away team should make the decision on whether or not what the referee makes allowances on. So if they're disagreeing, the away team should make the choice.
Yes.
Because it's their fault that they don't have field goal posts.
I know it's not their fault, but like, the field that they provided.
Yeah, the field they provided. The host should be accommodating for it.
The fact that you're allowing it to break goalposts as it is the fact that you're acknowledging that you have it. But at the same time, it's an issue, where the discrepancy can't be agreed upon. It shouldn't be looked at as a home field advantage, and the home field be like, oh, yeah, we're doing that. It should at least be a discussionary, either you agree on between both teams, or the away team says, well, no.
Well, in that case, then it's just basically the visiting team makes the call. Because if they agree, then the visiting team's making the call also, so.
The real justification I can provide for the away team doing it is that the away team didn't get to practice with them. If that
So you're saying with the use of temporary goalposts, the visiting team has their choice of a ball off the post is either in, it's out, or it's a re-kick.
Yeah.
And it's their choice. And that's decided not in-game, but pre-game.
Pre-game.
So we're allowing a team to choose what? Point talk, right?
Well, you put that the same opportunity to the king, but Jeff.
What other options are there?
Someone has to decide.
You have to pick something.
How far are we going to go? What other types of calls? We know how State can have temporary goals.
Yeah, but ours.
What, temporary goalposts where a ball off the post can't go through. It physically can't get through.
Like ours, if you want, we can fill out the picture of one.
Yeah, can you, I'm still lost with what we're talking about.
It hangs from the ceiling. Like,
It's like an arena net.
It's all
An arena net.
It's a net.
It's arena net. Yeah.
Okay, arena net, okay. Now I got it.
Is that what they use in arena football? Is,
So it might be important looking at what bigger rules are.
what's,
Arenas is more of like a goal post.
I don't agree with Ricky. I don't agree with Ricky part. Is she the end or not?
Yeah, no, that's too out of there. No,
I don't agree with Ricky. Is she the end or not?
The whole thing just kind of moves.
Exactly. It
Coach.
doesn't reflect in or reflect out.
Coach?
Yes, can we just propose, because this is a pretty minor issue, can we just propose that if it hits the yellow, it is no good, or if it hits the yellow, it's good?
I'm fine with that.
I was having a decision right here.
With the use of
That way it never changes.
How have you guys been doing it?
It didn't come up.
We always go for two. Rachel, you got that? So, are temporary goalposts legal?
Okay.
Second question, in a situation where temporary goalposts are being used, where there's not the ability for a ball off the post to go through, careen through the post,
If it hits the yellow.
if it hits the yellow, is it in or is it out? A or B? That's simple.
And just let the league decide.
Yep. And that'll be the official ruling on any situation with that kind of temporary post situation. All right. Rachel, I invite you to come up here.
Okay, guys. As the SID for the league and Cold Club Sports, I want you to know that I read everything, I see everything. So anything that is said on social media, the league sees. With that, I would like to make it clear that the NCFA will not tolerate vulgar language, racial slurs, trash talk that might cross the line, and any personal attacks on NCFA or CCS staff. Guys, 9 out of 10 times, the fact that I'm posting on any of these social media pages, I'm just the messenger. I'll leave it at that. Violators will be removed and blocked from our platforms, and the rest of the league will know why and who is being blocked, and so there's no confusion of why that happened. And guys, the discretion is completely up to us. We don't put black and white rules in our rule book because madness, anyways. So again, discretion completely up to us. Okay, Facebook messages. If you are not friends with myself or any of the other people in the NCFA or CCS staff, please do not message us on Facebook. God invented phones and email for a reason. So, that's all I gotta say about that. And Sandy's gonna.
Thank you, Rachel. She was very politically correct there and very professional, and I'm not that politically correct or professional. So basically, what I want to point out is the way you guys treat, I'm not that calling out anybody particular in this room, but as a league as a whole, the way you guys treat each other on Facebook and social media is obnoxious and disgusting at some points. And, Rachel's sick of it, we're sick of it. Makes the league look bad, and so, we're not gonna have it anymore. We're just gonna start booting people out of the group. And, Coach?
I would like to apologize for part of this about my staff, and I did terminate, coach that started one of the issues. And I did personally deal with players on the backside that continued this issue. So I would apologize.
on behalf of my university for our school's role in some of this craziness. And I addressed it, and I removed a member of my staff. So I will apologize.
Thank you, Coach. We're looking for volunteers and people to help us keep this league growing and going. And, you know, sometimes people don't want to be involved because of the way they're treated. So it's not good for anybody, and we're not going to take it anymore. So any questions on that?
Is suspension of a player or a coach a potential consequence?
Not
Obviously, it's not up to us.
like you mean like from playing on the field?
From playing on the field for like a game.
At the moment, no. But if something got that bad, we would warn you about it. But we're talking about literally just removing them from the Facebook group, blocking them from our Twitter sphere or Instagram or whatever that stuff is. A little out of touch on it. All right. All good? All right. Those were the key items we wanted to specifically address. Now we're going to open the floor up to you guys. I'm sure there's some rule changes you guys would like to see. Well, maybe there aren't. I don't know. Well, what would you guys like to see amended in the rule book going forward?
Is that related to the rules or things coming up?
No. What do you? Go ahead. What you got?
I just feel like maybe not necessarily every playoff game, but the championship in general should be live streamed no matter what. Like I know
Video?
Yeah, like a lot of people were trying to watch it, couldn't.
Well, we do the radio broadcast. I mean, it costs a lot of money to video stream it with any quality. We're not willing to do something half-assed, and we can't afford to do it full-assed, basically. So that's really what we feel like. I mean, we could throw an iPhone up there and give you the Skype or Periscope, but that's going to look like shit, and we don't want our name on something that looks like shit. So, till we can afford to do it right, we're very proud of our audio broadcast. We think they do a great job. We're proud of them. So, if the teams want to do a video Skype thing, like I know Middle Georgia did that in the past, where they had a Skype thing going on, and and that's their branded thing. That's fine.
2 years ago when it was broadcast, was that from the league or was that from?
It wasn't. We've never done video.
Okay.
So the issue isn't, sorry, I'll explain. The issue isn't the fact that we can put a video camera up and have it watch the game. That's not an issue. The main issue is if you give them that, then you open the floodgates and people are wondering, why can't I see the scoreboard? Why can't you zoom in? And it's like we don't have the capacity at this moment to give you the production that we want to give you. So, like, we work our butts off with the broadcast, but like, to give you some great commentary with Ryan Norris and Dave Moses, and like, they do a flipping fantastic job with the radio broadcast. And I mean, heck, one day if we get up to 50+ teams with this league, and we're able to invest into equipment like that, then I'd be all for it. But at this moment, we are limited, and we don't want to bite off more than we can chew. And that's going to take away from money for other services to give you guys. So.
But another example is in our baseball league. 308 teams. The NCBA's got a budget 20 times the size of the NCFA. We're still not doing video at that national championship. We're getting closer to it. We're exploring it. The price to do it right is $10,000 to $13,000. When we don't want to put our name on something we're not proud of.
Yeah.
And a little Periscope camera, still camera that's all pixelated would be something we want our name on. So there's the answer to your question. But hey, Wheeling's not far from Wright State. Drive on over and watch the game. Yeah. Buy a beer afterwards. Nick.
Just a suggestion to all the teams, and I know the NCFA can't really enforce this, but I just want to kind of do what I can to encourage all the teams to upload your stats like the night after your game, if at all possible. And if your team can't afford like a camcorder to tape your game and watch it, you don't have to sideline to take stats during the game. Ask the team that you play and say, hey, you've got game film, can you give us what I saw this year was kind of annoying was, you know, there'd be a player of the week, quarterback, threw 5 touchdowns, 300 yards, whatever, had a really good game. And I'm like, wow, he's a good quarterback. He must be one of the league leaders. You go to the stats, no stats for the entire team. Like, they're completely just gone. But so somebody took the time to make them player of the week, but nobody took the time to call the team stats in there. And then at the end of the season, like November-ish, you'll see that maybe 3 or 4 teams in the league have stats, and they're all like league leaders. And then right before All-American nominations come up, everybody uploads their stats, and you know, it's not ever a current running total of who's got what in the league, and it hurts your scouting. So, you know, you go to the NCFA website, you look at the stats, you see who maybe the team leader is, you see, you know, how much their quarterback rushes for versus how much they pass for. But if you go to the stats and there's no team stats there, and your team is very diligent in uploading stats, it makes the league experience a little bit different. So just kind of what I think to encourage everybody that if at all possible, do whatever you can to update your stats as soon as possible, instead of waiting towards the end of the season.
I'm curious how other people feel about that stuff. 'Cause, I mean, I agree, you know, it would be not, in the perfect world, everybody would have stats up Monday morning, full stats, we'd know everybody. You know, you even look on, you look on some teams' stats, and the only players that have stats are the ones they nominated for All-American. So at least we've got that, you know. But, you know, the other guys that they didn't think were nominee worthy, you know, they never bothered to put their stats up. In a perfect world, it would be up there. How can we get towards that or progress that direction?
Well, I'd like to propose, does anybody have like a stats person, like a statistician that is taking all these down and recording them? I know for us personally, it's tough because we're all on the sidelines. Nobody can remember who did what mostly, if there's like a big play or something. But I know for special teams especially, nobody knows how to accurately do punter stats. No one knows how to accurately do kicker stats. And like that kind of stuff, which makes it tough to upload.
Yeah, it's film, so we review all of it. We review all of that.
I'll say one suggestion I would have, I'm not sure which schools can do this. For instance, at George Mason, when I was president there, we had a sport management program. In order to get that degree, you have to do a practicum, 3 credits, typically doing something organizational, administrative, something along those lines. We would always contact the sport management program and offer a chance for during the fall semester to have one of their students come for the 3 credits. Be like a statistician, game manager, all that type of stuff. So it was a great way to get 3 credit out there. And I'm sure you can tailor it to other degree programs as well.
So one issue I think I ever ran into with that was not having film available the next day. If I had a parent or somebody else that videotaped it, they're like, well, I'm not just giving you this rough copy and it looks like, you know, garbage. They'll edit it. I might have it in by Tuesday, and I could probably get it in by Wednesday, but the fact of the matter is just, you know, the next day turnaround or even a Monday morning would definitely be a stretch. I think at my state, when I was at Ford, we did a flash drive, and I was lucky to get it by Monday night. So the timing is the only issue I see. Even in that week, if you had at least the prior week of stats in, then as far as if it's week 2, at least have week 1 in, and if you know it's Sunday, week 2, at least have week 1 in, so that the league can be updated each week from the previous week.
Is that how most of you do tabulate stats, is you basically just take the game film and rewatch it and then just start basically taking notes?
And also in our season, we actually had a statistician, if you will, we had somebody that was doing, but probably the midway through the season, actually brought on staff, so they kind of diminished his ability to do our stats that way. So we try to kind of plug them from the film from that element. So it's a lot easier to do in real time. I'm sure that not everybody has that resource available. It's just so much easier to do it during the game if you have the ability.
One of the things, you know, we used it for the national championship game is iScore. It's an app. So I think it's free to download. I think it's free to use, right, Paul?
What's the number?
iScore?
It's free to use. I think that there might be like a $4 charge, one-time charge. And once you have it, it has full capabilities. You can
you can load your roster in there, and we were able to, like, you know, I don't know if anybody followed that on our website, but we had real-time stats, kind of like, you know, it's a cartoon football field with guys and arrows this way and that way, and, you know, he says, you know, 3-yard run, he types it into the iPad, and the guy moves 3 yards, and the scoreboard changes on this app, and at the end, you basically email yourself a PDF, and it's all the stats. It's nice. It's a real-time thing. Obviously, no player can do that. It needs to be a non-player. But, you know, it might be something. Our baseball teams, almost, I'd say 80% of them are using it on the baseball side. But I haven't really heard any of the football teams using any sort of software like that. We use it for the one game a year. And it works out
There's
nice.
a higher end program, or I guess company called Crossover, and they actually send them your film. They not only dissect it, they'll create highlights, stats, tendencies, and so on, in $48. It's a pretty penny, but I think it's, last I heard, $1,500 for 4 games, which I know. But again, it's how much you want to get out of them. You know,
Right.
I ran to the left 6 times, but I didn't run to the right the entire second half. So it's not just a stats thing, but it would help you evolve as a coach and evolve as players as well, to be able to look at, you know, as far as opponents or your own team value.
Right. Expensive, but, you know, it's an option. Yeah, you get what you pay for. You get what you pay for, right? So, any other comments on this topic? All right. It is something we'd love to see, you know, more real-time stats. Makes the website look good, makes the league look more legitimate, makes, you know, like Nick said, you know, scouting opponents a little more accurate, so forth. So, who's got another item? Ohio State.
The main issue that I want to bring up is conference champion game limitations. I know Miami had this problem.
Okay.
I'll let them talk.
All right.
What I'm waiting for is once we determine how the Mid-Atlantic will be set up, we're going to find a neutral location. So, for instance, if the Mid-Atlantic stays exactly as it is, I've been trying to talk with Pitt about hosting it at their place. It's about as close to the neutral site as we can have in terms of map east, map west. That's something last year was a little, we found out about a little too late and we couldn't get Pitt to host it, and deal costs for the neutral site. At other locations that I looked into were just way too exorbitant. And I know Miami stepped up and they had quite a long ride over to Baltimore, but our hope is to not happen today.
And the goal is to have that determined before game 1 of the season.
We just had the issue
Right.
towards the end, like, we had no idea who was going to be hosting it, who was going to be that was just like, oh God, what's going on?
Yeah, it's also like for our scheduling and stuff too, trying to find buses and all that stuff, trying to eliminate that headache a little bit.
Okay. So then we're all good then.
So why does it, like, the higher seeds, like in the rankings, host the game?
They did. Coppin State was ranked higher than Miami, so Miami had.
But if we had beaten Miami, we would have been, if we had beaten Miami, it would have been, we wouldn't have known whether Coppin would have been ranked higher than us.
You would have had to wait a couple days for the polls to come out.
Exactly, and then at that point, getting a field reservation could have just been.
And then it's also an extremely long drive, given how the MAC is set up right now. Coppin had to go to Columbus, or Ohio State had to go to Baltimore. It's an 8-hour drive. And the folks will cut their half and come there.
So this year's gonna be the same as where the higher seed is?
No, he's trying to find a middle, central, a neutral site. That's the goal.
I'm sorry, we're all good.
Okay, we're all good. How about another item of discussion? Nobody's really bringing anything up like changing the rule book. Is it?
Can everybody please speak up much louder than you think is normal? Because I have 2 mics picking stuff up that it's very normal.
So a lot of this will be subject to change this year, just depending on what Eastern and Flint are doing. But playing Eastern and Flint twice in our conference, we'd like to try to either realign, do something different, because playing 4 blowout games, which isn't like a knock on their team or anything like that, just the way that it worked out did not make for
conference and not competitive.
Right.
Like, they're a 14 conference, your conference is competitive. Obviously, you've got Oakland and us.
We played two
and
teams
then
with
there's
about
Eastern.
15 to 20 players on
Right.
the team, so it just didn't.
That makes it really tough.
Right, right. Now, as you recall, last year was the way we changed that, because we were trying to solve a different problem. We went to this format to solve the problem of you lose one game, your playoff hopes are over. So we installed this so that now basically you lost the first game to Oakland. You had a shot to beat them round 2, take the East, and go to the playoffs, or go to the conference championship.
That doesn't matter to me as much, honestly. You have a second shot, I mean, for me, I don't mind just straight up division, to win. The team is not, I'm good up there.
Well, in the Mid-Atlantic, you guys split, didn't, Ohio State and Miami split?
No,
But
they lost one to Wright State.
Yeah.
We beat Wright State both times, but we lost both to Miami, so if we had only played one, they would have lost to Wright State the first time. We would have beaten Wright State, but we would have lost to Miami, and that becomes a tiebreaker.
To piggyback off of what he was saying, I'd like to see some type of, not a full-on revamp, but maybe some expansion of the game. That one, strength schedule is taken into consideration. Two, how, teams get to the playoffs, because as he stated, we played one of the top, if not the toughest conference in the NCFA. We got Wright State, Miami, and that's still not from anybody else. But every week in our conference, you got to come to play. There's a dog fight every week. And so to be on the outside looking in, when other teams are playing 3 and 4 games in their conference, and we're playing 6, we got 6 conference games, it kind of seems unbalanced. You've got one of the best teams in the league that are sitting out, for championship weekend, and then other teams are kind of cakewalking into the playoffs / conference championships, etc.
But there's always going to be those teams that aren't as strong, so I feel like there's no way to where we can make it perfectly even. There's always going to be a stronger division.
Right.
Yeah, we're not saying make it perfectly even. We're saying, let's have some fresh blood. Let's have some more maybe out of conference games for us at least, so that we're not just slogging each other every week.
Yeah,
So we have other people to butt heads with.
We had dog fights.
Yeah.
Our games, our first game was a knockdown. Miami was a knockdown, drag-out. Like it was a knockdown, drag-out. Most games.
Nah, yeah, there were.
And that's not shade or disrespect to anybody. You know what I mean? It's just the way that our conference is set up. You literally have to. I mean, you literally have to be A+ every week to win. And it doesn't seem like the blowouts that are going on in other conferences. It doesn't seem like that's the case. Not only the blowouts, but they're playing a lot less games than we do.
Yeah.
And then again, walking into the playoffs, and then here we are, we're playing at least 6 conference games. And then in my opinion, one of the best teams in the country, and I'm not just referring to us, they're just kind of sitting out of the playoffs because of the way that our conference is set up.
So what is your proposed solution?
It's not necessarily a proposal. I'm putting it out there to see if anybody else has any other type of reconsideration or solution, or any fresh idea of how we can make that balance. Again, like you said, it's never going to be perfectly even, ever. That's just the way football is. There's good teams, there's bad teams, there's teams that are starting up. It just is what it is.
And one of the things that's unique about us, and everybody's on a tight budget, we have to be very conscious of logistics travel. And that has to be, we can't put Eastern Michigan and Flint in a different conference just because they're not as good as you guys.
I just don't want to play in flex.
Cool. And go about that. And by doing that, if you get to 5 per any conference, that eliminates one.
Right.
So that might be the biggest thing, is to try and realign to get 5 per conference division.
Sometimes to get to 5, now you're kind of throwing the logistics out the window, because now you're making someone who's not geographically in your pod have to maybe leave another pod of teams to be your 5th team.
I'm gonna say this here. I'm the club director and I'm the coach. And for you to make that statement that no knock on nobody else's toughest conference in the nation or whatever. I have battled with Middle Georgia for 8, 9 years. I've never seen the playoffs. And now I got Fort Lauderdale, which is just went to the championship game. I have battled with them for 8, 9 years. How long we been saying? 9 years? No one, know what I was told? Do a better job with your program. That's what I was told. I think that came from that last year. The big guy, do a better job with the program. That's what I was told. Do a better job with the program, then you can get what it needs to be. I understand. I'm all about students. I am a student advocate. You pay my salary. So I am going to do everything in my powers to make sure you have a good experience, good college experience. But now we're going to say, I don't want to beat up these same team. Give me somebody to beat up on. I mean, give me somebody to beat up on. I bet on this every week. This is week to week. You beat me. Barely. I mean, that's what I was told. Get a better program. Do better. Get more guys in. I don't have 30,000 kids in my school. I got 8,000 kids. And most of them are commuters. So I'm in a difficult situation. But we make the best out of it. We throw a couple guys together, we walk in, we toss them and see what happens. That's what you do. I just quoted what y'all said last year. Do better with your program.
If I can offer a rebuttal, I think maybe you misunderstood my point. By no means am I asking for a cakewalk or anything like that to the playoffs. I'm not asking for anybody to give us a golden line or get to the playoffs because we've done better with our program. My program has consistently improved some time in the playoffs. So just to make that clarification to you, I'm asking for it to be tabled and to some type of consideration be made for some changes to be made to the playoffs. Again, I'm not asking for a golden ticket to the playoffs because I don't need it. My team with the envelope against anybody that we can hold on. So that handout is not necessary. But what I'm asking for, again, is some type of framework for change to be made going forward. That's what I'm asking.
And what
if change is possible.
and what change are you looking for? I mean, like more teams in the conference? We would love more. Trust me, we want more teams. We're trying to.
Not only possibly more teams in the conference, but maybe expanding the playoffs. You know what I mean? So again, I'm open to whatever could possibly happen. I didn't have a narrow-minded viewpoint of what should change. I'm saying, is change possible? And if it is possible, what options and avenues do you have going forward?
Essentially, it's already an 8-team playoff because you've got conference championships, right? So it was Miami versus Coppin, Eastern versus Sacred Heart, Oakland, Robert Morris, Columbus, Fort Lauderdale. 8 teams, winner moves on. You know, in 8 teams, I don't see how we get to 16.
And if I could, maybe that's not something that happens next season. Maybe it's not something that happens the season after that. You know what I mean? As the league grows, maybe we can find a way to expand. He just wants to. You know what I mean? Yeah, I'm laying the framework for future conversations.
Right. And what I would love, my goal, I want to see it get to, we've got these 4 conferences, 2 of them are split. I want to get to a point where we've got 4 conferences, all 4 of them are split, and each split is 6, 7 teams per side, and that give you 6 conference games. And hey, the team that comes out on top in the conference moves on, gets into that 8-team playoff, and that's where we want to get to. We need more teams to be able to get to that. So, I mean, we're trying. Rachel, we got 5 new teams so far this year. We haven't had 5 new teams in the same season since year 1, maybe. So, I think we're progressing in that route, and that's my objective. That's where we'd like to get to. But we also have to keep that logistics in mind because that is an important piece of the puzzle. If we just said, right now we've got 28 teams. I think our goal is to be at 28 teams this year. You divide that by 4. That's 4 conferences of 7. We can't just do that because now we're sending. That means North Carolina, 2 North Carolina schools have to be in a conference with the Florida school, with South Florida schools. That's a big trip for regular conference games. I don't know who had their hand up first.
I don't know what I say. I'm a bridging the gap between the two. With them saying, they have to play everyone twice in the playoffs. The other issue that is with that is like, for example, Michigan State, us, Miami, Wright State, we have to play 6 guaranteed games just to get to a conference championship. So let's say that's 7 games. You have teams with a division of like 5 teams. That means including their conference championship, they only play 5 games. 7 to 5 automatic games. How do you justify that getting into the playoffs? Like,
But that's all the teams they have out there. I mean, they trust me, they would like more. Or if they had one less, then they'd be playing the double dip, and they'd be right in your
I guess
position.
you're missing the point of what I'm saying. Like, I get the logistics, but shouldn't they be required to play like one more non-conference game or play another opponent another time? Because like we have to play 2 more games than they do, which means we're even more tired by the time the playoffs.
Isn't that what the stats come into play, and the actual power rankings come into play?
I mean, the power rankings factor in extra games, but that doesn't
That
matter if you get in or
Like
not.
Miami, like for example, like say that I don't want to knock anybody, I don't even know who would play a 7-game team, played a 5-game team. That 7-game team is exhausted from a season where the 5, they played 5 of what possible 9 weeks, where the other teams played 7 of a possible 9 weeks. Like that's just exhausting.
On the flip side, the 5-game team ain't half prepared as the team that plays 7, because now they have to sit around for 9 weeks. And they, oh, hey, we're the best.
What about injuries?
Yeah, but then,
What about
they
injuries?
have that practice
That's what I'm
time.
saying.
You can play.
We can't go like
Play
that.
non-conference games. Like schools do.
Well, if there's not enough teams to play non-conference games, then like Sam said, there's not enough teams to play, then, and plus, if you put guys to play 5, they're using those off weeks for practices and all that. That's one more week.
I'll say this. When I was my first year at Wright State, we played 9 games. Unfortunately, we had 3 weeks straight off because either a team folded or a team backed out, whatever. We were coming in hot. I don't care who. I think we were playing you guys, and you guys smoked us. We thought, hey, we got this, we're great. And we didn't even come close because we were so ahead of ourselves, we thought. And all we did was beat each other up in practice. And here we're sitting around really not prepared. And you guys, I think, we're coming off like 4 games straight at one point. And you guys,
What year was this?
2014.
Oh, yeah, I remember that.
Yeah, so, and that's what I'm saying. So it can work both ways. It really can. Would you be more healthy? Yes, probably so. But mentally sharp, more ready, I can't say you would be.
It's kind of like, there's 2 sides to the coin.
So, I mean, all we wanted to propose was that we eliminate the, you have to play a home and away with the new division.
So you want to eliminate the rule where, do we want to eliminate, we have a rule that if a division has 4 or fewer teams, you play home and away.
Yes, that's what I want to propose, because we're going to have 8 games scheduled no matter what. We're going to schedule, if we can, other teams to play, maybe a trip to Miami, Ohio, maybe Ohio State. We want to play other teams. We don't want to just be stuck.
That's part of our, we want the competition, and we're locked into 4 games.
Against bad teams.
Yes.
Well, and we had, you were gonna play, and no knock on them, they bring the kids out there and they do what they can do. But we had them back-to-back weeks.
With the bye.
With the Miami.
Yeah.
I mean, that's 3 weeks.
Right.
If I could explain.
Yeah, because you guys were the ones that, you guys last year brought up the concern about the one in out, lose your game, and then your season's kind of in the tank. You want to lobby against that?
2014, 2015, if you lost the conference game, during the season you were done. Like, let's say you had a couple key injuries, you lost the game. Now there's no chance of getting the conference championship. Whereas if you've got a small division, like 4 teams, and you're playing everybody twice, if you've got injuries and you lose the game, you know if you're going to replay them, they're a familiar opponent. You've got, whereas, instead of being one and done, you still have a chance to get to those playoffs, where before you didn't have that chance. So with the Great Lakes, if you end up number 1, you're playing Robert Morris or Milwaukee or Loyola, and those are all unfamiliar opponents. But if you're in the North Atlantic, you're, Sacred Heart, you're Eastern Connecticut, you're Vermont, you play everybody once, and then number 1 and 2 get a replay. They get to face each other and see who's that chance. You're familiar opponents, they play each other. It's a different situation for them. But for us, if you throw a game, or if you're not in it, you're going to lose. Now you're out of the conference championship. championship to play the person from the other side just because you lost one conference game. So playing the two games, you know, kept your team in it, I guess, for the season.
Yeah, I like that a lot because my first year coming in, it was 2 years ago, and Wright State was like, I think 6-0, and Oakland was 5-0. And we lost to them in a really close battle, and then our season was done just because of, you know, a few bad plays in the fourth quarter, as opposed to having a second chance. Like that year, if we got to play them again, we would have loved that. But
You gotta change
our
some
season
leaders.
was done because of just that. I don't like that.
But that almost would have been a bigger conference. Like if Milwaukee, Loyola, and Robert Morris were just part of the Great Lakes Conference, then you don't have enough time to play everybody twice. You're playing everybody once, then you have to play two.
Now there's 5 there.
Yeah, there's 5 out there
So
now.
let's just breach this, what if. Yeah. So let's say that U of M and EMU dealt with that leads to this.
Right.
So basically, are you thinking us to go west and them to go someplace, or both of us go?
Oh,
What do you think?
some of it depends on what happens in the Mid-Atlantic with, you know, does Apprentice come on, does Maryland come on? Because that could affect some things out there. The 2 options, if neither one of those teams come back, there's kind of 2 options. One, we just put you with the West teams and just call it the Great Lakes. It's a 7-team conference. 7's good. That's 6 conference games. 7's good. 8 is too many. 8 is a problem. You know, another option is you're not a terrible trip down to those Ohio schools. So maybe we peel Pitt off and keep them with the Maryland side, and we make you 5, you know, the Great Lakes East. You know, we got to evaluate that once we know exactly what's happening. Those are kind of the 2 scenarios. Now, I tell you, I really, right now, I'd say it's a coin toss on Eastern Michigan and Flint, what they're doing. Eastern Michigan tells us paperwork's coming, they're coming back, but until I see it in my inbox, it's not official. Flint, we have half their paperwork, but not the important half. We have the registration form, so we know who's in charge of the program. We don't have the commitment. And those new contacts aren't responding to us, so I'm guessing they're dragging their feet to see what kind of numbers they think they're gonna have before they commit to something and walk out there with 12 guys. But on the 12th, we will know, because that's what we're scheduling.
Let's say they do jump in, and then now all of a sudden, we're in a position where we're playing them twice, and they don't get it. And now that puts us in even tougher, because now we're trying to find games to fill our schedule. And try to do it late, it's pretty tough.
Right.
But the opposite end of the spectrum is, for our conference, we beat Miami, lost to Ohio State, beat Pitt, 2-1. Miami lost to us, beat Ohio State, beat Pitt, 2-1. Ohio State beat us, lost to Miami, beat Pitt, 2. 3-way tie for first. I mean, you're going to have your situation where you're, you know, beating up on these teams or whatever. Then you're going to have our situation where there's a 3-way tie. How do you break that tie? You're not going to. Do you have time to play each other?
There is tiebreaker scenarios in the rule book. So it's,
I've played on teams that did that since my first year. We lost to Compton, we beat VCU, but VCU beat Compton. It came down to defensive points allowed. At the end of the season, we played VCU in the championship. Compton got left out. That was the rules they agreed to at the beginning of the year. Sucked for them, but it is what it is. So that's what we have in that case.
That's what, I'm not worried about being able to play another team, and if I lose a conference game, then I'm
right. And that's your opinion, and they have a different opinion, and that's why it went to a vote last year, and we can put it to a vote again, you know? Now, my question is, you know, so you're proposing we eliminate that rule. Before we just say eliminate it, do we want to dumb it down to conferences of 3 still play home and away?
Yeah, I think that's fine.
like, are we even gonna have that be up after all these new people join?
I don't know.
Everybody, I mean, there's 5 teams coming in this year. 2 of them are gonna go to the west.
Yeah.
And then the other 3 are, you know, Florida area and, you know, but everybody, if you look at the list that's coming, there's nobody that is in that centralized area from Michigan, Illinois,
everybody is south, Atlantic area, that stuff. Because now we're live. So we almost have to go west to be able to keep the numbers.
Right. Well, unless only one of Flint or Eastern Michigan comes back. Then you'd be at 3. Then you'd be at 3. Too many to combine with the West. Because that'd be 8. That's too many.
And that's fine. If it's 3 equates because that still leaves you 4 non-conference. Good competition.
Right.
I'm good with it.
So we want to put on the ballot to keep the change.
It's not that much. And we may not drop this. Well, that's not the I would keep that. It's just availability of both countries.
Rachel, on the ballot, 3.01.3. 3.01.3. Keep it at 4 teams or change it to 3 teams. That's basically, and then I'll explain it on the ballot, but that's what I need to know to do that. So I'm gonna let it vote and we'll see what people want to do. Okay. Another item. Nick.
Tiebreakers, Oakland and Michigan State both put up some pretty big scores last season. And the NCFA rulebook kind of enabled that because of the tiebreaker rule. And in case we split games with Michigan State, the tiebreaker goes to points scored. And it led to some over-scoring against weaker opponents that I think is sort of regrettable, but again, due to the rulebook, and I think points scored as a tiebreaker should be changed.
Yeah, in our tiebreakers, in that scenario, like let's say in your 4-team conference, you played everybody twice. Let's say you guys had split head to head. So you'd end up, 5-1 in both of you are 5-1 in conference. So we decide who's the winner of the East, who's moving on. First tiebreaker is conference winning percentage. That's a tie. We move on. Head-to-head results. You tie. You split. Move on to the next one. Next tiebreaker is standing versus the next best conference team. You both swept the 3rd place team. Moving on. Lower average points allowed per conference game played, excluding forfeits. So there's an emphasis on not giving up points there. Which also is sort of an emphasis on putting points on your opponent, because you're hurting them in that tiebreaker by putting points. And I think that's kind of where we got a little, it's worded with the idea of there's an emphasis on not giving up points, which is good, but the counteraction is it helps you to put on points on the other guy. And that was a problem, I think, beating those teams into submission, and you guys had some, 80-point spreads on those teams? That's probably a reason those teams aren't sure they're back, because they're still licking their wounds.
Part of that is because we each had to play them twice.
Right.
Completely dominate those teams, and you feel almost bad for it by the end, but that's just kind of what you have to do. What if instead we did like a point differential between, so like they played twice, right? So say that they won by 7 and they won by 6. What if we just said they have more point differential between the 2 games?
I like that.
What if we just left it at that? So you don't have to just go on the conference, you just do head to head.
4.01.2 includes score head results. Not differential.
Oh, does it?
No, it doesn't.
Oh, yes, so what if we just reach that?
Score.
Yeah.
So score differential in the head-to-head.
So State beat us 35-0, and then we beat them by 1. They would go because
Right.
the point differential of those 2 games was.
Right. Now, just playing devil's advocate on that idea, I like where we're going with it. The first time you play a team, you don't know if that's going to be the team you're going to be playing head-to-head against. So, you know, let's say Eastern Michigan's going to be a decent team next year, and you play them game one, you don't yet know if that's the team you're going to be matched up dealing head-to-head with. So you might, is there a motivation to run up the score in game one? Game two, you know you win it, you're in, you don't have to kill them in game two, but.
I think if you're in position to run up the score, you know that's not the thing you're going to have that.
Yeah.
That's not fun.
Like, if you're up like 40-3, you know they're not gonna be managing anymore.
I kind of disagree with that. We beat Pitt like 33-6 or 33-7 our first match, and then they waxed us the very next game 20 times. I mean, it's two completely different. I mean,
I can see that. That's a little different from 7.
well, I mean, it was still 25 points and then 20 points still. I do understand. I mean, that's just not fun to play. I mean, either team.
We want the teams to stay in the league. We don't want to have to do that when they have 10 players, 11 players, and lose by 80. I wouldn't want to come back to that.
Yeah, you want them to have a good experience, so next year they can come back with 15 guys. And the next year they have a good experience, they come back with 20
If they're
guys.
going to be in our conference.
Right.
Well, and based on his issue, okay, the first game you run up the score, but like later when you play them again, like for them, they would have known, you know, maybe it was a fluke, like for you, maybe it was a fluke, and then when, like, after a couple weeks you saw Pitt, like, they were actually still scoring pretty well, and you're like, oh, you know, maybe that was a fluke, versus them when they saw Michigan was just getting blown out. At that point, when they meet for the second time, they're like, we don't really need to run up the score.
If it happens once, okay, but they have to
Do it twice.
see it happen twice.
Which is why, you know, the point differential for head-to-head comes in, it's better.
Is there any, you know, again, I'm just spitballing ideas. Is there any sort of penalty a team should receive for running up a lopsided score?
No.
No. Half your performance bond's lost if you beat anybody by 40.
I mean, Raw Boys are kind of really, but it's not football.
I mean, I think Oakland is going to contest a similar situation. Against U of M Flint, it's not that you're out there throwing the ball. I mean, you're just running the ball and they can't stop it. We can't tell our guys, hey, we got to put fun.
Do you put in second strings? Do you put wide receivers at running back? Yeah.
Like at the same time, we're like, okay, Michigan State played Flint and they beat them like 70-something to nothing. Now we have to score 80 because if we lose to Michigan State, it's going to come down to that tiebreaker. We don't. It shouldn't go down much.
Yeah. And then the point differential head-to-head.
Yeah,
Makes
that
much
differential. I mean, if State beats us by 7, we beat State by 7. Now the differential is still high.
Exactly.
Exactly.
They're still going to have.
And then that's all. But do you honestly expect it to come to that point?
No.
Not like,
It's
not
just
like.
not fair to do it.
Obviously, maybe you keep
Hang on a second, guys. Hang on.
The current scoring differential, you keep that in there, but you drop that to the end.
You drop it.
You put the head-to-head up.
Right.
And it's still getting determined earlier, 9 times out.
So we like, that's what we want. We want to go.
Drop the total differential?
No, we're gonna inject, Rachel, between 4.01.2 and between 4.01.2 and 4.01.3, we're gonna add, the next tiebreaker is head-to-head point differential between the tied opponents. Between, correct. That sound right?
Wouldn't it just be easier just to rewrite 401-2 with head-to-head results, like total score, like, and not even do a 401, not even add a new one? Okay, fair enough. It's so minute that it doesn't matter.
Right.
I was just trying to make it easier.
Yeah. Okay. How about another, that was a good topic. Something else?
I got a question targeting and the rules surrounding it. We've had refs that have their own, it seems, ideas of what targeting is. We had one kid thrown out for his first offense. We argued with the refs and said, hey, this isn't the rules, it's stated right here. They're like, no, he's gone. And then Ohio State, not you guys or anything, but we were going back and forth, dogfight, and there were targeting flags. You have the rule number? It's 15.01, 15.011. The rules here are clearly stated. It's how to enforce them with referees is kind of my question. So we don't have kids getting thrown out of games who just started for one thing that may or may not have been targeted.
For everyone's background, since we don't have access to instant replay like the NCAA, where they can review a targeting and decide if it's worthy of the ejection or not, our rules are the first targeting is not an ejection, a second is.
Yes.
That's how we got to the rules we've got. Your issue is not with the rules, but how do you make your refs?
Yes, how do we enforce these to keep it fair to each team?
Just out of curiosity, did this take place with your refs or Ohio State's refs?
My refs.
Your refs.
So our issue, our first time was our refs. The Ohio State one, that was your refs? Yeah, and they were the night game was, that's probably the most game. That was a scary game. But yeah, so how do we tell them, hey, these are our rules, you have to enforce these rules, but they're the ones making the calls on the field at the time. And we can't argue with them because we're in game and we're players. So we can't argue rules with them.
Well, you have a coach. Yeah, you got a coach. You got Jay.
Yeah, we have coaches. We have coaches, but coaches, they don't listen to the coaches either, which is kind of my problem. And like our fans are yelling at them to do it as well. They're going on their rule.
Is by any chance, this is one of the little nuances about the NCFA that's different than an NCAA rule book. Did you meet with your reps before the game to make sure, to go over the couple of things that are different?
We do, yeah. We always do.
I mean, I would recommend.
Our executive board last year did not.
I would recommend doing that for one, because those refs might not have known it, and because some player's screaming at them saying, hey, that's not the way it is, they're not going to believe you. But if you have your coaches have a calm conversation with the other coach and the refs pre-game, hey, we just want to make sure you're aware of these couple of differences and get it worked out in advance. If they still don't acknowledge it, I would go straight to whoever you're calling, your assigner, and say, hey, look, we've got a rule book and they're refusing to follow it. We don't want this guy back. That's what I would do.
We kind of ran into that same issue in multiple games. One, in our game against Miami, my first game, and then a game at Wright State, we had some similar issues. And it does almost become, refs in any sport will always be a point of contention, like as a coach. I mean, this is the nature of these. But we ran into similar situations where we're trying to advise, the referees, hey, you don't enforce targeting like a new NCAA. Even after a conversation took place prior to the captains being called, et cetera, saying, hey, this is the NCFA rule book, this is how we do things, this is what's different, et cetera. So it's just, I mean, it's difficult, but I don't really know if there's a process that can put in place. Because again, in the heat of the moment, a referee, you're not going to tell a referee that he's not all in. Even if you say, hey, we do it this way, that way, and the third way, in the heat of the moment, the ref is going to call it how they want to call it. And I mean, sometimes that can bite you, sometimes it benefits you, but ultimately, we have to, we got to protect our players. And, so when calls are being missed and they're blatant, there has to be a follow-up policy. Like, I kind of reached out to Scott, I believe it was, after our Wright State game, saying, hey, this is kind of what took place. And again, this was not knocking you guys at all. It was just, there was questionable calls and then there were no calls where, guys could have gotten hurt. And then there's refs overstepping the bounds, telling me that if I didn't open my mouth, they're gonna throw another flag, or throwing flags on our fans that weren't saying anything either. So there has to be like a protocol or some type of policy put in place where we can express those concerns and they can be addressed somehow.
And what, so you're basically, you're not really focused on targeting at this point. You're just talking about general football penalty calls. And
I totally agree with him. Targeting is just a specific example that I used, but yeah, there have been a lot of just blatant missed calls or calls that have been made that it feels like refs are taking control of the game and not letting us participate.
We run into an issue that we're not all getting refs from like a central agency. Like we can't just get NCAA refs that have to follow these rules and they see repercussions if they do something incorrect.
Yeah.
I mean, we're in charge of getting our own refs. We have to usually get high school refs and give them our rules. So it's kind of like, this is football. You're going to have all these opportunities to win the game, but then you're going to have all these opportunities to lose the game. The odds of a referee directly making you lose the game are 1 in tens of millions. I mean, there's little things that each team does throughout the game that dictates how the game's going to go. So I just see, I mean, if it's your home refs that are doing it, don't bring it back. Express to, maybe the people whoever, a signer, yeah, that you don't like this guy, you don't want this guy. I mean, we've been screwed by our home refs too anyways. I mean, I think everybody here is never happy with the refs.
Yeah.
I mean, I can't.
So, go ahead. So has there ever been a discussion about the conference trying to contract this before and handling it instead of schools handling it?
like having our own brand of referees?
Or a director of officials contacts each area and finds who the officials are in each area. Kind of like I still do semi-pro and other things. I stopped doing college. I still do high school, but stopped doing college because of it. But we have a director of officials who's assigned to each league. That guy is responsible for finding officials for each team. So that guy will then have a training session with those guys. Okay, if I gotta go to if I gotta go to Maryland,
Ohio.
I gotta go to Ohio, find out who it is near their campus. Okay, here's what we're gonna contract, here's what we're gonna agree to pay. These are the rules we have. Then I gotta go to Ohio State and do the same thing there, and I gotta come down and do it in Georgia. Then that director of officials, whoever that is the one who handles that. So that is uniform, because I know I know we got, usually it's money. Some of us play different amounts for officials. They can only be high school, then they're paying a different amount. I use college officials, so I have to pay a little bit more probably than some people. But at a minimum, you can go to the high school association and say, hey, here's what we got, here's what we can afford to pay. That director official is the one then who then gets those guys to know particular rules. Here's our rules. They meet, just like I had a conference call the other day, said my pro season started today, he was on that there. We had a conference call 2 weeks ago. Here's the rule changes, here's some things. These are the things we need to know going into the season. Then I'm crew chief, so when I get at a game, it's my responsibility to talk to my crew. Here's what we got to look for, not look for, is how you do it. So I don't know if that may be a way to kind of calm some of that.
Okay.
Just a suggestion. Maybe, I don't know if it's possible, maybe, per conference, there could be a way to, not necessarily pull the referees, we all get referees from different places, but as we all know, referees travel. Right. So maybe there's a way that we can kind of pull per conference, Wright State's not that far from us. An hour, something like that, hour and a half, hour, 45 minutes. Maybe we can find a way to pool refs so that we're all on a satisfactory way. Like, for instance, night game we had against Miami, I got a ref on my sideline that I can't hear or see. And I'm not trying to be funny. You cannot hear or see. Yeah. I'm like, they have it on their sideline. And I know one of the other refs because, we work with different agencies, but we kind of encountered each other in passing, and he's like, look, can I take you you know, my guy, you can't hear or see. I'm like, what am I supposed to do with that? It's already fun. I got a 90-year-old ref on my sideline that can't hear or see. So it's like, I'm like, okay, well, I tell him, hey man, don't bring your guy back. Don't bring your guy back. You sleep stand on the sideline a couple times, but don't bring him back. But, you know what I mean? It makes it difficult because here I am, our school's contracted with this crew, we've reached out to a ref crew, but then I don't have the options when they bring that guy back, and he's, you know, because I had another issue with him, you know, sideline, and they're asleep. You know what I mean? I'm like, come on, man, there's gotta be another option. But again, maybe we can pull our resources as far as referees are concerned and eliminate that problem as a whole. Even if it goes as far as, you know, we pay, I don't even know what it is. 75. Is it 75 a head? 75 a head per ref. You know what I mean? Even if it's saying, hey, I'm coming to Wright State, we got a game, we got this many officials, okay, well, we're gonna pay, if we use this collective pool, we're paying for half the refs, you guys are paying for half the refs. You know what I mean? That way, everybody's satisfied. Everybody's satisfied and nobody feels like, okay, well, Wright State's paying these refs, so calls are going Wright State's way. Or Ohio State's paying these refs, so they're going Ohio State's way. You know what I mean? It just kind of, it promotes neutrality and transparency and quality of refs. That would work.
And easiness to obtain refs as well.
Another option with that is this Fort Lauderdale's coach, Fort Lauderdale, correct? He said, you know, if the league like had a group, you know, that like went to the high school associations and said, all right, these are the, give us some guys so that we can just reach out and we'll sign them. You can increase our dues to cover that, because then we won't have to pay those refs out of our own pocket. You guys just do it on your end and we don't have to worry about it. That's just another option.
The problem, and I understand what you're talking about, basically, you know, we start managing our own officials as a league.
Not necessarily, or whoever the director official is, if that's the case. Even if it's conference right, that guy, whoever that conference director official is, if we do it that way.
And who is the conference director of officials?
Whoever in that area can decide on, because sometimes, you know, you might have, like you said, you know some of your guys. So you know the guy in Detroit, whoever my contact is in Detroit, hey, you're my contact, you're my lead on getting me guys for my pay. And you talk to that particular, because this is what I do. I have one contact that my guys might change every week or every other week, but that one contact is the one who fills all my guys. I don't call 15 different people. I call one guy, you get me 6 guys every week. And that person is responsible for facilitating that information out to his crew. This is what the rules are. But you would have to do that on the ground basis to know who like, they would have to say, okay, between these 3 Ohio associations, it may be one guy for each association. If you got that contact ahead of time. Contact them ahead of time, and, you know, like right now, it's time to do it. Because they're pretty much dead unless they're doing semi-pro reunion. They're dead right now. So prepare for the fall now. Who are my contacts? Hey guys, we're going to have these amount of games coming up. Here's what we're going to pay. We're going to have to put that out there. Here's what we're willing to pay. And I wish I could pay $75. I pay $100. I think that would work. But I pay $100 right now. But here's what it is, and I have a group of guys available. These are the weeks we play, because that's the only kind of coincide with high school and then and all that. And here's our parameters. But you gotta start working on that now.
So how is that different than what you're? It sounds like that's what you're already doing. You're working.
But don't sound like that's what they're doing.
He's saying everyone goes to one guy that's in charge of it.
Every team goes to their one guy.
To their guy.
Right, and that's your assigner, and pretty much every team should have an assigner. Some of you some of you I hear, like the school, you guys said the school contracted these officials or something like that. You know, if you have someone in the club sports office scheduling your officials, you guys are different because you guys, you know, Billy's a football guy. You might not have a football person in your club sports office scheduling your officials for you. You might want to bring that sort of responsibility under yourselves, just for the point of, you know, you can communicate football opinions to those assigners and relay that message. In terms of the league having one person that's going to reach out to all your assigners, that's a full-time job that we don't have any.
I'm not saying that it directly comes from here, but I'm
but like, it may be that, conference to conference. And it may be only the ones that's having the problem.
Right.
If we're not having a problem with the South, or the Mid-Atlantic, then we ain't worried about it. But if we're having a problem over here, maybe that's how we gotta do it over here.
Right.
It sounds like they got a major problem with their crop of guys.
Right.
When I had that, I tell my guys, that never happened. I got one like that. He did that one game. I don't ever want to see that guy again.
When Oakland started, we contacted Flint and said, who do you guys have for a ref crew? And they're like, oh, they're like, $100 a ref and whatever, and they gave us their number, and then we went with them for a season, we liked them, we brought them back, and then we got a different assigner, new crew of refs, didn't like them. They were like, how come the tackles were number 13, that's not eligible? It's like, well, NCFA rules, you can have any crew number you want. And then like, we went back to like Flint's old refs, and so like Eastern got their refs, I think, for a few games, and like we all three of our teams, I'm not sure who the state gets, but we all kind of do share refs, and it's been working since we started.
Right. And for those of you that are, sorry, Coach, go ahead.
Something amongst some teams, I mean, we don't use the same refs as they do. We use the assigner for the GLIAC and the NIAA, which is Division III and Division II football, that's inside the state of Michigan. And I know that you guys would have plenty of Division III schools. There's an assigner down there someplace that has officials available because they don't have home days, and they can start filling schedules. And they're more than happy to do that to keep their guys in the game.
Yeah, well, this is more kind of an issue for us now because our assignment is quit. So we have no way of getting that right now. So
And to help you with that, I mean, this is going to sound really simple, but I actually deal with this on a fairly regular basis, especially like in our basketball leagues. Teams are coming to how do we get high school basketball officials? Literally, I would Google high school football officials, Cincinnati, Ohio, and 3 web pages are going to pop up with one will be Ohio-based website, one will be a Southwest Ohio-based website. And I would just start calling them and say, hey, this is what we're doing, this is what we need, what would you charge? Let them price against each other. Try one out. If you don't like them, switch to another organization. But that's what I would do. I mean, I could do that Google search for you, but you can do it as easily as you can.
Right, and another easy thing you can do, call a Division III school or Division II that's local, say, who do you guys use as your assignment? And they'll give you that number. Call them and say, college officials,
Yeah, college officials, you're going to get a better product. Generally, you're going to pay more for it, though, but that's your prerogative. What's that?
we pay $100, those guys are paying that for us.
And just so you guys know, we had an entire NCAA crew for the national championship game, and we paid them $90.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
$100.
And a lot of them get excited about, one of the things, these guys are college, the guys we use for the national championship are college officials that don't have a lot of like championship experience, so they're kind of excited to put that on their resume. They worked a championship game. Same thing, you can find the same thing with some, good high school refs that they want to be able to put on their resume. They've done some college games because that's going to help further their resume. So, but I think communicating your feelings to your signers is the best way to, weed out the bad refs. You're obviously, 7 guys show up for a game. You're not going to kick one out that day, but you can certainly put in the request that you don't see him again. And I think the assigners want that feedback too, especially if you approach them with a professional manner. You call up kicking and screaming, nose hairs flailing, saying this guy's just garbage. Give him a, hey, this guy's really not what we need for our product.
Sandy, another solution that everybody might be able to benefit from is that if you bring in a ref staff or whatever, you ask them to write their names and maybe their phone numbers, emails, and what their side to the official, and you can give that to a hosting guy that to the visit team. So if you're from the same state and you like that squad, you can get a hold of them and try and retain them for your home games.
One of the things I've experienced, because every once in a while something comes up in the league where I got to do an investigation, talk to the officials about something that happened. It's often very hard, and I understand why, for the safety of the officials, it's often very hard to get the officials' contact information. Getting the assigner's contact information should not be a problem. So that should easily, and You know, I think a common courtesy might be, you know, hey, you know, before the game, Ohio State, you're heading to Miami. Miami just, you know, pregame, they get off. Hey, just so you know, here's who we booked our officials through. In case you want to call their assigner and give some feedback, here's the guy's name and number. Or you like the crew and want to try to get them for your own games. I think that's definitely doable. I think you'd have a hard time being able to say, get the contact information for the line judge and the back judge and that specific. Who knows? Another item? This is eerie.
I got one. This is something that you and I and Scott and I discussed in the season. We had a guy that was, got called for targeting on just an absolutely ridiculous call. And then got him sportsmanlike conduct. That was penalty. That was warranted. I won't defend that. But ultimately got ejected for a game and then was suspended by the league for follow-up. It's kind of hard as a coach, especially when it's said right now, I'm not defending the sportsmanlike conduct, penalties like that make me kind of pull my beard hairs out. Because, you know, I preach discipline within my organization or my team. That's just how I am. But I think that if we're going to have a situation where we can say, okay, we're going to arbitrarily suspend this guy for a game due to this conduct or due to what the referee says, I think that should be something that's a set in stone policy rather than seeming to be arbitrary on the back end. Because I searched the rule book, unless I missed it, high and low, and I didn't see anything that stated there was an ejection that's mandatory per, you know, that situation that presented itself.
Sorry, just give me a second. 1502. Upon reviewing the ejection report, the NCFA may determine that a further suspension is necessary. So we reviewed the suspension report, we interviewed the official, and it's not fresh in my mind, so I don't remember all the details, but I do recall, you know, Scott and I getting together and determined that it wasn't the targeting that it was the conduct of the player. I think he was like screaming and swearing or something like that. Yeah, you know, like made a scene from what we gathered. The report we got, he made a scene that was, you know, would make any spectator. This is what we gauged from the report. That would be embarrassing to anybody that played in the NCFA. That, hey, I'm looking at a club football game and that's going on the field, and it would embarrass the league and anybody a part of the league, and that's why we suspended him the game. It had nothing to do with the targeting. It was about his conduct. And I get, you know, people get a penalty called on them. They don't like it, they argue it, but there's a level that you need to stop it.
If I can briefly expand on that, granted, it might not have been the targeting. However, just absolute ridiculousness of the targeting penalty that was called. And again, I'm not defending this young man's actions as far as the swearing, the profane language. I'm not defending that at all. I'm just trying to give you an expansive viewpoint from, you know, the situation as a whole. This also kind of culminated in that same game in which I was mentioning earlier, where the referee was completely out of control. So it's like, you know, here I am, prior to the conversation that even happened, a player back in per conversation that you or Scott is having with said refs is being suspended in an additional game. Granted, I was already in the city for a half. That was already going to be my decision. Then, you know, it feels like the league kind of took it out of my hands to discipline the player that's on my team that was representing my institution. Granted, it's the NCFA, but you know, I kind of felt powerless to discipline the player when the league says, okay, we're already going to sit this guy for a game based on talking to the refs. But that didn't take into consideration any of the information that was provided on our hand, but, you know, from us, as far as the refs and their conduct and the way that they were calling to speak to my own player, if they're going to throw a rubber flag and, all that kind of stuff,
Go ahead.
Well, I mean, just another thing to add on to that. Do you guys release a statement to the team or the public in general of a statement of this player is suspended and this is why, the general recap of your decision of why? Do we get that? Because if we don't, I feel like as a team, as a league, we deserve to know the league's conclusion of why were they suspended. Give us the exact findings to them that said, all right, this is why we did it. It doesn't have to be explicitly stated in writing in the league, but we just should.
You want to know why?
Yeah, like explicitly stated in writing.
I'm sure we sent you an email.
I know I didn't get it, the president didn't get it, and he didn't get it.
I think Scott and I, we had a conversation.
We had a lengthy.
We had a long conversation, and again, it was, it covered, multiple topics. But again, the culmination of that conversation was the suspension for said player pertaining to the events during the game when he was ejected. You know what I'm saying? And it just,
right.
I feel second. I guess if we're going to remain on that path where the league is saying, okay, we have the right to take additional measures if a player is ejected, there should be some type of, at least a rebuttal process, so it doesn't feel like a dictatorship. You can't just say, hey, this is what happened, so we're going to take this action. There was no rebuttal, or there was no process where we could say, hey, take this into consideration as well before you drop the hammer on said player.
Well, we did do that. I mean, I talked to you about it, and we discussed it in length before we made any decision. Like, I remember talking to you about this.
But again, with that,
but, obviously, we have to take in a lot of different viewpoints there. So not only is it just taking the word, but we have the referees. I believe I briefly may have talked to Billy about it with you guys, just seeing what you guys observe and different sides and trying to get at different factors. So we do take into consideration what the teams say. But then we also have to talk to refs, we have to talk to each other, and we need to talk to Rachel a little bit about it as well. So there were steps that we took before we reached the conclusion that we did.
I do remember, and I apologize, it's not fresh in my mind. I do remember that, we felt the kid needed extra discipline because the opinion we got from the parties the information we got from all the parties we could get it from was that this kid, none of them was out of line, but conducted himself in a manner that was not conducive to the image that anybody in this room wants of the NCFA. So we wanted to send a message to him, and he needed a little extra. And I think because of when it happened in the game, like it wasn't a first quarter ejection. It was because I think it was late in the game that we. Right, and that's why he got a full game instead of a half, because he basically didn't miss. He hardly missed any of that game that he was ejected in.
Scott, I can appreciate you saying that we had that conversation because we did. But I guess my thought of this conversation would be, I expressed my concerns pertaining to what led to that ejection. But what I got in return from the league was, we can't do anything about the refs, so that doesn't matter. This is what happened. We talked to the refs. He's getting an additional game. So what good is it to take my side into consideration when the coach won't wait? I might as well be talking to the wall.
Well, that would be, what you guys say does hold weight. Obviously, we have to.
We didn't give him 2 games.
Consideration, like for instance, there was another incident with 2 of my Mid-Atlantic teams. Police had to be called. It was not a pretty situation. We talked to the police. Sandy did. We got the police report. We read what happened, but we also talked to the head coaches for each of the teams. We figured out what happened. We had to take into consideration 3 different points of view that we have. 4 to include the officials, the police, and you have the coaching staff for each team. So there's a lot of different variables, and it's not that we don't take your opinion, your thoughts, your feelings into consideration, as we very much do. And I've had to just voice my displeasure about referees as a player to the league when I was playing George Mason. And I like to think that my point of view was taken into consideration then, and that's something I try to do with each one of my teams. And no one's always going to be happy with everything, but I try to take, in your case, your point of view into consideration. Obviously, you already said you were not going to call some referees, and I understood that, and I try to do my best in factoring that in to our decision that we made, including the referees. And it's not my point to ever disregard anything you say. We did take it into consideration. I just want to assure you that we have other points of view that we will weigh as well.
Fair enough, I can live with that. Sandy, in case of like interlineous targeting call, is the game film or that particular clip something that a coach can send to the league to aid the review? So if a player gets kicked out of the game for a second offense, you know, due to a bad call on the first offense, that maybe you guys could review the play that they call the targeting call on and take that into your judgment?
Well, yeah, we could review, some evidence if you want to present that, but and this wasn't about the targeting call. This was about his conduct after the targeting call.
And even if we have that on video, we can submit.
Yeah, even if you had that on video, you said, look, he did not take his jersey up and flail it over his head and shoot the bird to the crowd. And,
that's not what happened.
Right, but you know,
so that everyone's clear.
yeah, but yeah, we can take that into account, absolutely, if there's footage. You know, that was one of the things we were trying to get for the Coppin State UNC Greensboro's incident, was trying to get game footage. The problem was it happened after the game during the post-game prayer. Everybody had shut off their cameras, so there was no game footage, and we got almost nothing out of the officials because they were already in the locker room when it happened. We were basically going off of a coach and a club sports director, campus PD, and Baltimore County or Baltimore City PD, and you know. Not every NCFA game involves the police, so please don't judge that when you decide if you want to join or not.
I do have one thing, locker rooms, changing facilities. Our home field, I know we're a culprit, our home field doesn't have locker rooms. So at the beginning of this year, we will be supplying a tent. But when you get into some of the situations with bad weather, not having changing facilities, how is everybody else in?
Well, we're kind of new to this as well, because we used to have that hallway, which is bigger, but all their admissions offices down in there, so we can't use that anymore, so we're kind of in your situation now as well, where we're now left without facilities to accommodate all that. So yeah, we're in this as well, trying to figure this out.
We're in that same situation where our field, you might have been out, our field's right adjacent to the horseshoe, and the closest thing that we have that would be available to the opposing teams would be our pack, which is, it's not far, but it's not a close walk. That's not something you want to do after, go to work before, because you're going to walk all the way over there and then walk all the way back to a parking lot that's, half a mile the other way, you know what I mean? So, I don't know, that's a good question. It's a pain. Obviously we want to be able to provide that convenience, after a game, we want to be able to provide a place to shower, change your clothes, etc. You don't have to go back in the car smelling terrible.
You can go on Groupon and get a 10-foot by 30-foot tent. We bought 2 of them for this season, and for our homecoming game against Eastern Michigan, we put 2 of them up like the Friday night before, so we wouldn't have to do it before we got ready for the game. By the time we got to the field, the weather was bad. One of them was blown over, and all the little plastic attachments on those stupid little cheap tents or whatever were half busted and stuff. So, as long as you can find some people to put them up like right before the game and take them down right after, they'll be fine. But they're so light duty and cheap, but it is better than nothing.
Unfortunately, that's one of the tough parts about club sports is, facilities. You don't, a few years ago, we were worrying about fields, Now we're upgraded to worrying about locker rooms. Yeah.
It's not the worst problem.
Yeah, exactly.
It's not anything like a locker room, it's like a tent somewhere where the team can gather and put their equipment on. Obviously, it's gonna be hard to make that a requirement, but it's something
Right.
that we're gonna try to do going forward is really try to find a tent or something to give the other team an area, decent changes, so they aren't just changing the parking lot in the car.
And at the very least, from just a level of sportsmanship, just advance notice of what your facilities you do have. So if they know before they're leaving, like, hey, guys, we're gonna have to get changed in the car, you know, it might be worthwhile to stop at a McDonald's so you can use the bathroom there and change. That's what we used to do with club baseball. We always wanted to show up at the field looking pristine. But you know, at least giving your opponent a heads up of what you do have that you can offer so that they can plan accordingly.
And I guess we can always ask too, you know.
Yeah, and you can always ask, yeah.
It's like a good faith effort, like Oakland didn't have to do what they did, but they obviously see it's a benefit to both them and the division. You just have a place for them to either huddle up or change or something like that. Not that you have to, because not everyone can, but it's a good faith effort on behalf of both teams involved with things done.
My last concern, I guess, would be, and this is kind of springboard from that last topic. We had a couple games last year where we were the away team, and the hosting team, for legalities or whatever, for legal reasons, couldn't or wouldn't provide a trainer. I think that's absolutely absurd. If I-
They couldn't provide a trainer? It's in our rules that they must provide a trainer.
The fall kickoff was a separate.
Yeah, that's all. I'm referring to, I'm drawing a blank right now, 2 hours too. Who was that? I'm drawing a blank. No.
Was it SIU?
Oh, well, if you played SIU, if it was SIUE, last year they weren't in the league. So they weren't susceptible to our rules. Now that they're in our league, they're susceptible to our rules.
I can't recall right off. I know there was one instance, and that, the fall kickoff was not even in that situation, because we understand why that played out the way it had to, but, as soon as I recall, bring it up to you guys, reach out to you. Again, I just think that it should be mandatory. I know this is a rule, but
Right.
something that says, hey,
If they don't provide the trainer, is it a forfeit then? Like, if like legally they say, oh, we can't give you a trainer, we can't give you a or at least that's a forfeit, right?
I mean, it's, at least for us, at least for us, I feel like if you don't give somebody a heads up that you don't have a trainer available, there should be a penalty for that, because if it's within the state for us, if it's within Ohio, we can give our university a heads up notice and they can have more travel with us. But we'll try to within Ohio, but, you know what I mean, outside of Ohio, we're kind of at opposing teams.
Right. And, you know, by rule, they are required to provide that. So I think the question right now on the table is, what happens if they don't? So, what would you
Does it
like?
say in the rule book that it's a forfeit?
It does not. It does not. Just says it's required.
So if it's required, doesn't that imply that the game can't begin without a trainer present for both teams?
Which then would need an extra penalty, because the visiting team traveled X amount of miles and funds to get there, only find out the game can't be played.
So are you saying a penalty on top of the forfeiture?
Absolutely.
Oh,
And that's
Well, I don't know if a forfeit is warranted. But how about something like, you know, where you're all sitting on a $500 performance bond? How about if a team doesn't have a trainer, they lose their performance bond? That's a $500 hit. That's going to motivate them to get off their butt and go spend $100 on a trainer for the day.
I would rather
forfeiture of
I would rather that than a forfeit, because nobody wants a W to be a forfeit.
Right.
I mean,
And you don't want to go all that way and not play a football game.
We want to play the game, you know what I mean? But there needs to be some type of penalty, and then especially given the fact that club sports, you know, finances are a big deal.
Right.
And, you know, obviously the player safety is the number one thing. I think that's
Right, because, you know, you got $500 on the line, a trainer's not gonna cost $500.
Or at least half of it. You know what I mean?
Huh?
No, I'm saying the whole thing, whole thing.
So, Rachel,
Then it is.
It's just for player safety, you know? You can't.
That's all you
Rachel, so we want to put on the ballot, adding a rule that if a team fails to provide the required medical personnel, if they fail to provide the required medical personnel, they automatically lose their performance bond.
You don't think that's a little high?
No.
I think what it'll do is motivate people to make sure they have the training.
It's not gonna be, and here's the real question though, because this is a follow-up to that, because this did happen to us. We didn't have a trainer for like at least half of the fall kickoff. Like, come on. For the fall kickoff, we didn't have a trainer for the first half of the game.
I don't know anything
what
about.
happens with that?
Let's wait till he gets here.
What we were talking
Was out.
No, we know.
We know why it happened.
I don't, please.
GMU brought a trainer, but the GMU's trainer couldn't work on us because she was outside of her state license.
They found that out.
Which, it's not their fault, we don't rock on them.
Oh, you're saying we thought we had trainer coverage.
Yeah.
But we did, it turned out, how do we prevent that in the future?
Well, I think just a little better planning. Yeah, it sounds like from the organizational perspective, we thought we recovered. And that sounds like
But like the team, so like say like, Pitt's obviously hosting it next year, say that somebody else hosts it next year. Who's requiring to provide that training? The NCFA?
I would say in that situation,
That Scott's the perfect person to answer.
Scotty's the perfect person.
So we're talking about like when we did that training, how to prevent it in the future. The idea is, does the NCFA provide the trainer at that point, or does the host team that's like hosting the whole thing, like Pitt?
Are we talking about the fall kickoff?
Yes, who would provide the trainer?
So, for instance, give an example, I don't know if you guys talked about it specifically, what happened in the George Mason Ohio State game last year. We are under the impression George Mason brings their own trainer to all games. In the past, when I was a player, our trainers would provide care to other opponents if they didn't have their own trainer. In the time that I've been gone, Mason changed their procedures. They don't use a school trainer anymore. They contract out. The contract individual is not licensed to care for anyone else outside the state of Virginia. They could care for the Mason players, but an Ohio State player was hurt and bleeding. And initially it came off as that the trainer didn't want to do it because they weren't George Mason players. It turned out they were not able to by law. So we luckily had one of the Pitt players, was a certified EMT, I believe.
Yeah.
So we brought him back and he took care of Ohio State for us in the game. This is one of the bits that, logistical bits that Pitt and I will be discussing and taking care of as we move the fall kickoff. There will be a trainer at every game provided by officially Pitt. It's a way of saving money. They host the game, so there's no fee cost.
I just wanted to make sure.
We will be taking care of it.
Right, and it's, right, okay.
I just want to make sure.
Yeah, we don't want that to happen.
Every team that ever goes,
Yeah.
that will never be able to happen again.
It will.
Issue?
All right, there we go.
My only issue that I think I have is, we don't have an injured reserve list. I guess it's .50. You can't add a lot of players breaking bones. It's a contact sport. So I'm just trying to figure out why not. I mean, this is a contact
Because you can
sport.
continue to add players up to 50.
Mhm.
So while you don't take them off the roster, you can add people up to 50. You guys, I don't remember exactly. I know the max number was Eastern Connecticut at 46. So you can continue to add more guys. I don't think there's a need to take them off. So you had room to add if you could find another guy.
Up to November 1st, though,
Up till November 1st.
But you
Then
can't
the-
never take them off, even though
You
they
can-
can't play no more. You
Right.
lose 6, 7
They're-
guys,
they're-
they don't need.
They're still taking up the spots.
And the player loses year of eligibility.
Well, he can apply for a medical red shirt.
Okay.
So, a guy that's injured like that.
Okay.
So.
I mean, I think that can be handled like as a private discussion, like say example, somewhere someone gets a 50-man roster and someone gets hurt for the season, like they're out no matter what, he's not coming back. There can be a private email exchange between the team and the NCFA and say, hey, this is what's happening, he's out for the year, can we just add another person and take him off completely? Is that?
And I would say
something
no.
you do? You would say no?
Absolutely.
No.
Roster limit's 50. For the rules are designed that way. They've got 50 guys. They got 49 guys left. That's plenty.
Okay.
Yeah.
I just wanted
Right.
clarification on that.
What we want to avoid is, for one, again, going back to the third slide of the night, we need to be efficient with our time. And adding people, dropping people, it's, we can't spend, we got to be efficient with our time in terms of adding in paperwork and stuff like that. You lose a guy, he pulls Shazier on the first game of the season, and he's done forever. They still got 49 guys left.
I just wanted clarification on what you meant.
Now is there a rule change you want to propose?
No, I was asking,
Yeah.
I'm just getting caught up.
Yep. Yeah, valid question.
Yes.
Should we move, anything else? Should we move on? Oh, there we go.
Going back to the trainer issue, is it for like a conference championship game, like a neutral site? Is that to be provided? conference championship games, if they're hosted, like, let's say it's like the North Atlantic, 2 at number 1. Number 1 is the host team, they're responsible for the trainer. Conference championship games, where, like, if he's gonna pick a neutral site, he's gonna get the trainer, make sure there's a trainer there. When you get to the playoffs, we're providing the trainer. You get to the national championship, we're providing trainers.
Same with referees, correct?
Yes. Anything else? This is crazy.
Let's go. Awesome.
Really?
Do it.
All right. I'm gonna stand up. That's breaking records. You're all gonna make a trophy, it's all your names on it.
Because we're being efficient.
We're being honest.
There you go.
Oh, don't even go. Here's a little timetable.
You're not doing that today.
So big meetings today, February 9th, the voting ballots will be due. Our goal will be to have the ballots out next Friday. We'll also have a copy of, we'll turn the slides into PDFs and send them out email. So forth. Rachel will write up the notes, we'll get that all out next week. So voting ballots will be due tonight. February 12th, schedule request forms are due. Our goal February 16th is to have all the schedules, conversations released. In this big gap, where you got to do a bunch of fundraising and buy uniforms and hats and gloves. August 15th, team previews will be due. For those of you who don't know what that is, we send out a document beginning, in the summer. Gives you a chance to hype your team for us, tell us who you got, who the new guys are, who your returners are, how your outlook for the season is, and we compile them all together and we send them out, sort of use it as a marketing ploy to get people excited about the season coming up. We also use that to send out to the voting panel so they can kind of educate themselves on how you're looking for the 2018 season. September 1st, performance bonds are due. The preseason polls will be released. Performance bond, most of you, there's no new teams in here right now. Most of you, your performance bond just rolled over to cover you for this year, so you're not, a couple of you, you guys got your performance bond up, so you'll have to repay that September 10th, regular season begins. Remember, online player registration, academic players, we like those 2 weeks in advance. Remember, you can continue to add guys up to November 1st or until you hit 50 guys on the roster. I stress to you, aim for that 2-week window, because when you come on Friday and you got the game on Saturday, maybe I'm out sick that day, or maybe I got 15 teams to do and you're 16 in line, or maybe your guy screwed up something,
one of your guys was being an idiot and said he played pro football, and so that makes him ineligible. And yeah, he's gonna feel it and process it, but that takes some time. And if we're finding this out Friday before the game, chances are it's not gonna get cleaned up by Saturday. But you take it, do yourself a favor, get it in early. September 30th is the deadline to receive the annual dues discount. Remember, if you pay your dues early, you get $100 off. Take advantage of that. November 1st, roster freeze deadline. November 3rd, regular season concludes. The 10th, conference championships. Says 15th is the deadline for the annual dues if you didn't take advantage of the early payment discount period. 17th is the playoffs. 1st is the national championship game. Closing. All right. Hey, great meeting. Thank you all for coming. Some of you didn't come very far. Some of you came very far. Some of you came with no skin in the game just to learn. Hopefully it was educational for you. Understand how we operate as a league. Please continue to promote the league website. Give the sponsors business whenever possible. They're putting money in to help us operate. And they're hoping for a return on their investment. So, if you like the glove idea, go to glove. Communication. If you guys got questions, ask them. Don't assume you know the answer. That's a recipe for disaster. Ask the questions. We're here to answer. So, if you ever feel like something doesn't feel right, you feel like another team's not treating you up to par. Yeah, they say, we can't play. We got to move this game. For whatever reason. It doesn't, why are you being forced to move a game? Ask the question. Do we have to reschedule this game? Ask the question. We'll answer it for you. We'll make sure you're being treated fairly by your opponents as well. Be prompt with the deadlines. It's very important to be efficient with our time. Hit the deadlines. And lastly, last time I checked, football is a game. I think you guys are all good. No one here is getting paid, right? You're doing it for fun because you love the sport, right? Remember that. Take the field, have fun.
I just had something to say before we leave. We were thinking about hosting like a 7-on-7 tournament springtime. So would anyone, I know Miami, you're close to us, you guys, if we were hosting, would you guys be down to come? So we would figure Miami, you guys are close, Ohio State's close, so I think, and it'd be open to anyone, hopefully you guys can come. I think it's a really good idea.
And you guys should have, if you don't have up-to-date contact information for the whole league, ask. So we have it in one document, you can start picking and choosing teams. One of the other, about the communication thing real quick, because someone asked me, why don't we put contact information for all the teams on our website? We used to have that up there, and it became kind of a disaster because people were being solicited by every Tom, Dick, and Harry that wanted to peddle some goofy all-star semi-pro, go to Spain and play football and all kinds of stuff. So we took all your information off our website. Not to hide it from you, to hide it from the goofballs out in the general world. So if you should have our master sheet. If you don't get it, we generally send it out. The conference coordinator gets an updated copy every month. Ask him for it, ask me for it, and send it to you in a heartbeat. It's got everybody's information. Primary reps, secondary reps, head coach, advisors, so emails and phone numbers. So that information is available to you. Just ask if you don't already have it. All right. I'm out of slides.